sir.
What does that even mean? What did that mean?
I'm going to use all the time I want.
Cool. We're going to be here at 8.
I'm not asking permission. I'm asking forgiveness.
What does that mean? All right.
Alrighty. First off, big shout out to the Tulane Lifers for, I want some America in it, but not in the face. Yeah, thanks to Lance Galen, Josh, for letting us use the studio and have you on.
Yeah, exactly. I've been here before. This is my second time.
It's your second rodeo.
Yeah, second rodeo. Still don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah,
so.
Me either.
Yeah, who knows? First time living, first time being a human. So we'll see. I have 3 drinks though, so hydrated I will be.
I mean, if you have coffee, cerveza, and water.
We don't have to break it down, you know?
Okay, all right. Well, first off, I'd like to, welcome you to the show and everything, but also I just love when people travel on motorcycles. Mm-hmm. That's like the best feeling in the world that I know of. And so when I see anybody doing it that's done it consistently a lot and has done as many states and time zones and countries as you have, I just, it's just only a matter of time before I was able to kind of, hey, are you interested in a podcast? I liked your pictures
enough to be like, hi.
Well, you've been around for quite a while.
Yeah. I started riding, kind of a long time in miles. Started riding in 2017-ish, 18. Mm-hmm. I broke my leg promptly, so my start time's a little...
Yeah.
18 technically is when I got the sporty.
Yeah.
And since then, it's about 120,000 miles.
You were already living out here in LA, so...
I was, yeah.
What was the catalyst to make you decide to get a bike?
I think it was a lot of different things. It was kind of a... integration of a few things. There's a few stories that go to it. One story is I kept out here dating. I kept dating guys, even though they didn't have bikes in their pictures or anything. They would just meet and be like, "Oh, I have a motorcycle." I'm like, "Okay, that's odd. That's just is a reoccurring situation." And I never was really on the back of them. Now I'm really glad because that's a lot of trust. And I don't know if I got that, especially in LA. I have been on the back of one since. It was very angrily when my bike was broke. And my boyfriend at the time was like, "Do you want me to come get you?" I was like, "Not really, actually, but I'm in the desert, so I guess." And I actually saw I have a tow truck guy out here that I call directly. So
that
fun.
Frequent?
Yeah. And I called Cameron from Victory Lane Freight. And he was on his way, but as we were leaving, I was on the back of my boyfriend. And I'm 6 foot, and he was 6 foot. Mm-hmm. So I could have ridden the motorcycle from the back seat just fine, and I was terrified. And I see the tow truck go the other way, and I almost was like, "Just take me back. Cameron will drive me home. This is terrifying." Yeah. I just closed my eyes. I was like, "This is awful." So I think it's worse when you kind of know all the things that could go wrong.
Yeah.
I think naivety is a joy sometimes. You're just like, "This is so fun. Yeah. This is a great time." No, I know LA, there's just so many factors.
Yeah, I mean, you're pretty good at lane splitting. I felt a little intimidated, leading through the pack. I'm like, "Look, I don't know if this is how y'all do it, but I'm just going at my comfort level." And then, like I said, when you jumped up in front for a minute, I was like, "Oh yeah, she was signaling." I was like, "I don't do that."
Yeah, keep
up.
It splits up a bit right there, so I was like, it'll be easier if we just go this way. Honestly, I've already gotten pulled over once today.
I shouldn't have been leading in the first place because this is your neck of the woods, and I'm just like, I'm a guest here in this town. So.
No, you kicked ass. Yeah, you were doing fine. Leading's fine, but I usually kind of get pushed into that role, so I'm just fine trilling. But you did really, there are definitely spots. To know LA is a huge advantage. Yeah. Where people like that Hollywood entrance on the 101, people usually launch from it over the solid line to get off to Barham really fast. Yeah. Luckily, no one did it today. But, so... I kind of cut my teeth out here. So I think LA makes a different kind of rider for sure.
Yeah, you can say the same thing for New York riders, people in the city in Long Island, they have to be on alert the whole time. Yeah. And I feel like that's an advantage for people that live, whether it is LA or New York or Chicago. You're just you're not getting used to riding and dozing off in your mind. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You're always on it.
Always on it. Yeah. And I think that really helped me throughout the country. Everywhere. Yeah. But then I also do look forward to it. I honestly kind of sometimes get bored when I haven't almost died in a minute. There's some rides like through Iowa. I was like, what would be fun? just like a little crash, just like a little. It
just
might
see
make it
if this
jazz it
can-
up a bit.
See if I can off road for a minute.
Just fun, just to see, keep it interesting. So yeah, I started in 2017, 18-ish. I was 32. That was my 32nd birthday from my dad. I was like, I think I want to learn to ride a motorcycle. And the last little bit was, do you know who, I love this story because I always forget his name. William H. Macy is?
Yeah.
I was on a job with him, and like just motorcycle things have been coming into play lately. And I was like,
He was the worst rider on Wild Hogs.
and I think he's the only one that rides, actually.
For real?
Yeah.
That's funny.
So I was on a job with him. I was working for a company that did like Tribeca Film Fest stuff. So we would interview actors and celebrities about what they like in movies, stuff like that. So they were like, "Oh, you're doing him today. He's riding his bike over, so he might be kind of sweaty." And we were in the middle of Hollywood, so I was like, "Oh, a bicycle, sweaty bicycle." And he shows up, and I had actually had an interview with him years before to be a makeup artist on one of his shows in Oklahoma. Did not get it. Also crashed my car that day. It was a great day. We're having fun. And, we're just shooting. I was like, "Oh, you're not very toasty. They said you're riding your bike over." He was like, "Oh, no, my Harley. I have a vintage Harley I rode over." I was like, "Oh, man, that's cool." And I kind of was like, you know what? I've been kind of thinking about learning how to ride lately. Like, I don't know, like, it seems pretty cool. I don't know. My dad's not really into it. He's kind of a first responder, so he's seen some real bad shit. So I got to figure out a way to, like, pitch it to him where he's like, yeah, we should totally do that. And I'm not ever going to do it justice. The way he described women riders, from there, it was something to the effect, and he doesn't know this. I haven't seen him since. But he described them in a way where he was like, yeah, they roll up to a light and their hair's flickering outside their helmet and the light turns green and they're just off in a flash, and it's just like very powerful and feminine still. And just like the way he described it, I was like in this little ethereal world. I was like, whoa, I want to do that.
Yeah.
So I was kind of like, I think I'm going to ask my dad to take me. So I went to school in Oklahoma for it. So that's what we did for my 32nd birthday present. And I didn't really have any hobbies other than that. Out here, the film industry is, you look for more work or you're working. And then when you're not working, you look for more work. So I was like, you know what? I'm not really the outdoorsy type. This might be kind of something fun. And honestly, I may fucking hate it. But at least I'll know how to operate one if something were to happen and I'm in a place where the only thing because my GTI stick shift is not getting out of California if something were to hit the fan. Because that thing does not like off-road. So, but I was like, if I need to get out of the city for any reason, a bike is going to be the way to do it.
Well, I would just think that there's got to be some kind of like, you said you didn't really have any hobbies. Did you see it as kind of a hobby to get into it? And, was traveling kind of a niche thing that you were into? Or
I don't think traveling was a big niche thing. I recently looked back at a lot of my Instagram posts, and I now, years ago, because I've had Instagram since it was made, there were motorcycle posts back in the day that was just like artsy Instagram with a fucking filter over it. And I was like, oh, maybe I've just like slowly just been inching towards this goal.
been grooming?
And been being groomed by Harley Davidson slowly over the years. And I didn't really see, I don't know how I saw it. It's hard to look back now knowing because it was a different person then. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I always,
to maybe help you, like I always tell, I'm not going to get into mine, but the catalyst as to why I jumped on the first bike was some like, for lack of a better term, insecure shit. Yeah. Like the girl or the woman or whatever you want to look at it as, the chick I was married to, we'd be driving down the road and she goes, this is how much she respected me. Bikers are just hot. And I'm just like,
that's so uncomfortable.
As I'm driving my Ford Focus, it's set up to street race. You know what I mean? So it's like I've no masculinity whatsoever.
She would have been the woman on the back of a bike that the Ford Focus guys are so hot. So that was not you. That was her.
she was gonna walk away. So I mean, it was kind of like she'd always like say, she didn't just say it like that blatantly, like fuck you. But it's like she's like, oh, bikes look cool. And so I just, obviously being kids and in love, it's like eventually it was gonna fail. And a bike kind of seemed like a way to, maybe it'll kind of work, And then I fell in love with it as soon as I got on it. And then it was more like, hey, fuck you, I'm out. Like I found a whole nother life to live right here. And so You know, it's not always, I feel like sometimes people don't find motorcycles for like the most badass reasons, or, you know, the lucky person that got to grow up getting taken to, you know, the BLM land to go do dirt biking with their dad or their family. Like,
my dad was not into it. No one was into it.
None of my family was.
My papa grew me up, raised me on cars, classic cars and stuff, but he was a truck driver, so that's what we did when he was in summer. So I always like the styling of things, and I prefer the more rare classic cars, like a Barracuda would be cool. Yeah, but they're just not, there's not a lot of them. When people are like, oh, I have a Mustang, I have a Corvette, I have a Camaro, I'm like, you and everyone else. Unless it's a 64 and a half Mustang. But I just like the more rare ones. I love Dodge Starts. I like little tiny trunks with big old front ends. But I think that kind of culture kind of blended over. And then I was at a funeral for a biker that I had dated. And I met this girl who rode a chopper up. And he had painted her chopper. And I didn't know anyone at this funeral. It was very terrifying. I didn't ride at the time either. So I was completely out of my element. And we hadn't spoken for a long time since we dated, and I think like his new partner was there. I was just like, I'm just here to like pay respects. Honestly, I saw it on Instagram and I kind of like lost my shit because like we didn't leave it in the most logical way. And Nikki is her name, and she rode up on a little chopper, and she just looks little redhead. She was like, come hang out with me. And I didn't have a lot of community. You know, I had my friends, but film industry is weird. You are with someone for a day or a week or a few months, and then you're like, cool, let's hang out sometime. And then you're on new projects. And
so a little bit fleeting almost, like it's I guess it's, you maybe the outside looking in, people talk about Hollywood being very pretentious and kind of on that. It's like maybe it's not really that. It's just the fact that like most people know, okay, we're going to be best friends for about 3 weeks. While this project's going on, and then, you know, like, and
hopefully we'll run into each other in the future and work together in the future, but that's not guaranteed because we all have different connections and different producers and different projects. That was when people had jobs out here. Right now it's not great. So I just kind of was like, I want to learn a new skill. I want to challenge myself. I think it's really important to keep growing. And at that time I was, you know, I had a couple really good years in my career. And I don't know, I was flying everywhere with MTV. I was going here, going there. I was with Jeff Dunham on a TV show for a while. And I was like, I kind of just want something else to do. And it doesn't seem super expensive. Joke's on me. And if I don't like it, I don't like it. It's fine. My dad is 6'6" and I'm 6 foot, and they'd only put us on these little bikes. So we were on dirt bikes for our class. You know, you're not supposed to sit down on those, and it hurt really badly. So even in the class, second day class, I was like, I don't know if I'm into this. I don't know if I like this, actually. I don't know. I had no idea it was going to take over my whole personality in life at all, and like change my life for the better. You know, there's definitely been some bad times, but looking back, like those were lessons learned. And I will continue to learn lessons, hopefully in a more thoughtful manner, but probably not. And it's hard because somebody asked me the other day, it was like, how did you see bikers before? I'm like, cool, I guess. But it was when I saw women, I said, that could be me. And they just seemed so inspired and like they are having fun, and anywhere they went, they were having a good time.
You know, we were kind of talking about this at the pre-meetup spot or whatever. And
the meetup to the meetup.
You know, I only know this perspective through my wife's conversations with her, but like, I mean, isn't it pretty hard as women to like make friends like not hard, like it's impossible, but like there's different challenges that I think maybe men face than men face, you know, in a sense like, you know, like I'm trying to dance around this without like stepping into a pile of shit.
Say it.
But like, I mean, what's every dude's like argument? I mean, I wish my wife would just get a hobby. Because we all have hobbies and we feel like it competes with our relationships. And it feels like a lot of the guys in the motorcycle world are always like, well, I wish she would just get a hobby. But, you know, in to be fair, like a lot of her hobby is our relationship. And it's taken me a long time to learn that.
A lot of women's hobby, I mean, they're raised a lot of people in modern day society. I think it's changing, and especially out in the coasts and in more progressive areas. Their hobby was get married, have babies, take care of the house, take care of your husband. So it's really hurtful when somebody's like, can you get a hobby? I'm like, yeah, I would love to. can I learn something?
Yeah.
You're going to take the kids for a while you're not, So I kind of think about that a lot when I see a lack of women builders.
Yeah.
Because men generally, and this is not all men and this is not all women, have the opportunity to first off learn it because they just are raised in that area.
Yeah.
But then they're also, no one says, why are you not taking care of kids? I mean, probably once a month, someone on Instagram goes, why don't you just quit this and have kids? It's really lame you ride motorcycles. Like,
damn. When I talked to Ray, I had, Ray's a great friend and like she's been on the podcast a couple times, and whether she said it on the podcast or off, the shit that she's told me that people will say to her, it's wild. It's like, we like a joke's a joke. Like we can, if we're all being like friends and we can make jokes and if you're really good at it, you can fucking get us where it hurts too. Right. Yeah. But when dudes are just outright like, like what you just said, usually. It's fucking bad. Oh, women?
It's women.
Oh, shit.
Because here's the thing.
Is it fucking with their identity or their purpose?
That's all they've been told. So they see something outside of that box and they're like, what? No, this can't be happening. Why wasn't she made to have kids? And that's not everyone's journey. That is some people's journey, but that's not everyone's, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And some people are born to be mothers and all that. I'm still raising me, to each their own. And I've raised many a boyfriend, so I'm good with that. But it's hard because it's a hard subject because it's really combative. It gets really angry fast. Men, I feel like a lot of men kind of get, well, blah, 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 blah. Like I do have my little rants on the internet about things and I try to display it openly and honestly, but also I'm not going to pitter patter around this. This is our reality. This is my reality. And then I have people who follow me that are my friends go, well, that's not right. This, that, this. And like, no, it is right because that's my perception and that's my reality. Yeah. So like when people say, why didn't you do this? Why? I have a college degree. Like I did stuff other than just motorcycles. Yeah. Like I just always have to, it hits me hard. I'm learning on not giving a fuck because, the boys, Taylor, LFG, all of my amazing community, even the women are like, don't give a shit what other people think. I'm trying.
Yeah, it's easier said than done.
It is. And, but it hurts you a little bit. But I always have to come back to that's what they've been told. And that makes me sadder than it does make me mad.
Well, and say the way that things are all like women are crossing over into male dominated spaces. And it's just a new thing that we all don't have answers for or understanding to those feelings, because everything in most of our lives have always been the generations before us. Oh, you're going to deal with this later on. Like this is kind of a new thing. Yeah. And it affects a lot of people in different ways. You know what I mean? And not that ever, like, I don't think that like a lot of people are sexist in the sense that like we don't want women on motorcycles or in the trades or anything like that. But no matter who you are or what demographic or nationality or whatever, like I think most people just want to see the equal like effort put into things. And for sure, there are a lot of people that do that, like getting your 10,000 hours in anything you do is what I try to focus on in other people. I want to see you doing the thing you love to do. Yeah. And the writing or the skill set or whatever the case may be. But also like, I think we should just all agree to understand that like, yo, we don't have the answers to this integration yet. We're figuring this. This is a our generation problem, or not problem, but hiccup that we have to figure out how to like work together. Yeah. It's different,
But it's such a hard topic because immediately people turn away from each other. They're like, my opinion's right, you're not right. And I'm like, that's your experience and that's true to you. However, I'm trying to tell you my experience and you coming back saying, no, that's not how this is going to move forward together.
There's no growth in that. And you said a while ago that women builders. Now, in my opinion, as someone that's still currently trying to be a builder in this world, that's a thing that takes years to do. And as women have jumped into the trades, and some of them been around for a long time, in the paint world, there's some amazing people that have done some killer shit that I look up to when I need inspiration. You know what I'm saying? But in bike building, it's still a very new thing that takes time to acquire the skills and the knowledge to do so. And so maybe, big maybe, and I hope this doesn't bite me in the ass, I think maybe the way that women in that space should probably, not even them, just whoever it is, the powers to be.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's women, I don't know if it's men, I don't know what it is. But if you're a student of becoming a bike builder, then you need to just be a student, regardless of whether you're a male or female.
Yeah.
You know, not, oh, she's a woman, she deserves more adulation
for doing less than her male counterparts did.
You know, like, why not just treat her equal? Like, hey, look, this is another person building a bike that's going through the same processes to learn how to weld and fabricate and mechanic and design and all these things that's more important than just like, this is a chick that did it. Because the problem is that, like, in my opinion, I've seen a lot of women grow in the paint business, and sometimes their attention goes way faster than their ability, and then they're like left with a lot of people would pay them to do stuff because their attention would equal that of somebody of actual skills and talent. Yeah. And when it doesn't match up in the final products that people get, then you have a problem. I just paid $5,000 for a paint job that's worth $300.
Yeah.
And
but I chose that person because they're a minority in the community. It's hard. I don't know if there's an answer or not.
There's not. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, there's not an answer.
It's just
every time this comes up, I think of opportunity. I mean, from when we're little, it's kind of, we're geared towards doing girl stuff. We're like, oh, that's boy stuff. I mean, some of us, you know. Sure. So like, when did it start? When they were little and they wanted to play with trucks, and their parents was like, no, you play with Barbies.
I think it kind of started with the tattoo culture. Yeah. I think when women started to dominate in that space, it really started to empower women to get into different spaces of like, artistically creative and in male-driven areas. Yeah. You know, like her or not, I think Kat Von D was a very powerful figure for women. Yeah. Of course, I don't get to say that, but I'm just saying, like, oh, I see so many, just being a part of that world for so long and seeing that transpire into like how many female artists there are now that a lot of people prefer to go to now. You know?
And I wonder how many of those artists might have had interest in it, but not the opportunity or confidence to try it before that. And then, like we were talking earlier, I want to see myself in someone, like in advertising or an inspiration. I want to go, oh, that could be me. That looks like me. She looks like me. She acts. That's amazing. And so we just needed those first trailblazers to say, you could do this too. Yeah. And I think that's important with every aspect of motorcycling. Like, I'm an idiot and I break my bike a lot, so I have to work on it a lot.
But you figure it out.
But you figure it out. And, I have friends where when their bike breaks, they call me. And they're like, well, how did you learn? I said, you figure it out. Yeah. I was given the opportunity and I was given the confidence to know, probably going to break this more. But I have other people I can call if I do. Yeah. And if I do break it more, it's just broken more. I just was raised in the way where like, we'll figure it out when that happens. And instead, I think a lot of people are just scared to do that first move. So they never do it.
Well, at the same time, I think that time is the most important factor in everything. As more women do more things, they get more skilled, and there becomes more women in that skill set, and the conversation changes from like a few to like there's a whole like, and I think there is now like, it's just not a thing anymore. Like time is the one thing that applies to anything. Like when let's just say with what you do as a career, if you just picked up those things tomorrow. And you didn't do it before, and you started doing it, and you got all the attention in the world because you were doing it, and you hadn't developed any of the skills, like, that's a weird place to be.
I agree.
That's a weird place to be on both ends of the spectrum. Yeah. Because you're getting the attention that somebody else should probably get because they put the time in, and you probably need the time to learn how to be in this space. Yeah. But yet you're taking the opportunity because why not?
But that's in every industry. Every tale is old as time, honestly. Like, a lot of people in every industry, every industry get bitter, and they're like, well, why do they get this and I get this and I've been doing this for longer and blah, blah, blah. But that's also a social media thing too. Like,
exactly.
how a person markets themselves and puts them online. And I think
definitely, yeah.
Or it's not going to change.
It's not.
So we have to change how we react to it. That's the only thing we can do is change our reaction and how it affects us.
Yeah.
And that's hard.
I think I think it's easier now.
Yeah.
I think it's just time. It was new and it was like a shock.
Yeah.
To a lot of our, we're saying like it's a fucking pandemic or something like that. It's not that. It's just, it was different. It was just.
The women are taking over.
Everywhere I go, there's fucking women.
The girls everywhere.
But.
At motorcycle events, no, it's not. It's men.
Yeah. Well, the thing, like, it's just taking time for everybody to adapt to the way things are like evolving into, and it's just different. Like most of us, like I said, we're growing up and like wanted to be bike builders. It wasn't that like we wanted, or I think that the powers to be before us didn't want women in it. It's just that they chose not to be a part of it.
Yeah.
And then now they have chosen to be a part of it, and all of us are like, I guess it's. I mean, I'm not like fuck that girl. What I mean? I never have been. When I think Becky got the chance to be a Born Free builder, I thought that was rad.
Yeah.
And if more women see, or when Ray Ripple did, when women get a chance to do it, I just think that you're seeing the groundwork's being laid for women building bikes.
Yeah.
And now that they are also trying to learn more skills and do more of the work, and so are other women probably seeing that and going, you know what, I want to build some bikes now. And then 5 years from now, or 10 years from now, or 20 years from now, you're going to have master builders, because it takes time to become a master builder.
Yeah.
You don't just get there, And that's the problem. I mean, male and female sees what I do for a living or what you do for a living, and they want to be there and they want to do that, but they don't realize the time you put into being where you're at.
Yeah.
And I put in, because they can scroll back and see our whole life in fucking 30 seconds.
Yeah, that's true. And they're like, well, and also there's a lot of things. We don't talk about all the stuff we got to get here. Like, we could, but we don't talk about all the day-to-day stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
So it kind of condenses it for others to see, and they're like, well, she just did this, this, and this. But
highlights.
Like with new female writers, like, well, how did you get better at this? How did you get seat time?
Yep.
It's time. And you have to put yourself in weird situations and learn how to get out of them. That's the only way you're going to know how you're going to react in a situation. Like, ride with people better than you. Ride with people faster than you, maybe even ride as long as they're safe-ish.
Yeah.
That's the only way you're going to be able to push yourself, is to get yourself out of your box.
Yeah.
But a lot of people either try to get out of their box and get scared and go back in, or it's incredibly multifaceted and complicated. Yes. And there's so many different branches off the tree. But I think it all boils down to the root of, like, we're on something new, and we have to say, if I am listening to the bros talk about something, and it's something that matters to them, and I care about them as a friend, whatever they care about and whatever affects them affects me, because I care about them.
Yeah.
So if a woman that anyone cares about is saying, hey, can we talk? And she's, level-headed and can speak about things in front of people. Like, some people just shut down. Yeah. And people are like, you're just crazy. We're not talking to you about this, blah, blah, blah. Like, that just shuts people down forever. Yeah, and that's male or female. Like, there's a lot more openness, like, to the people I care about. What matters to them matters to me. So if they're like, hey, I had this experience with this one thing, I'm like, okay, let's talk about it. Like, what do you want to do about it? Or do you just need me to listen? Do you need solutions, or do you want an ear? Let's just chat about it. And sometimes you just need to chat. Yeah. And so when people, I feel like sometimes people might not, coming up into industries that are more male dominated or whatever dominated, they may not have those people that are good sounding boards for them. Yeah, so they shut down and they pull back from the industry, and they're like, eh. And I think it is really cool that, like, Becky and, I mean, I've been going to Born Free for years. Some of them are a little heat strokey. Yes. I've had heat stroke twice at Born Free. If you see me at Born Free and I do not look happy, it is because I'm dying. Yeah. There was one year I had people kept talking to me, and I was like, I'm so sorry. I'm dead. I'm bad. I'm cold. I'm bad. Yeah. And I love you so much, my friend, but I must walk away and go somewhere else. Yeah. Like, I would sit at the wall of death, and I was dying. But I think, I don't know where I was going with that. Gone. In the wind.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just to be fair, like,
Oh, like with Born Free. Mm-hmm. When they first put, I think it was Becky, is the first woman I saw on the list. I was like, oh, I didn't even know they let girls in. I didn't even know that. But is it because of opportunity or the lack of supply of women who build their own?
Yeah.
It's both.
Yeah. I mean, most of the things that I know to be a thing in the motorcycle industry, it isn't like cut off from women to be a part of it. Mm-hmm. It's just there hasn't been an interest.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's like, that's where I guess, like, to defend men in a way.
I'm not trying to attack men, by the way.
You know, and I'm not trying to attack women either. I'm like, just, hey, look, like, we didn't know you wanted to do this.
Yeah.
And if we did, we probably would have been more, you know, like,
Stoked
hey, check this out. Or, hey, go find you a mentor. Like, we all have to find to learn how to do this stuff from. Or, you know, go buy the shit, you know, go spend the thousands of dollars on equipment in your garage and bust your knuckles up and figure it out.
Yeah,
you know?
or find someone you know that will mentor you. Or I learned how to weld once. I was drunk. I was not good at it.
Hey, nobody's good at it first. I'm still not good at it, but it sticks.
It sticks. That's all we need. Yeah, and how many, you know, I think that is incredibly, that's a new, the mindset of the man that you're describing is new. Because there are so many women that come up to me, well, I want to ride, but my husband says I can't, or my boyfriend says I can't, or my dad said I could never get on a bike, or so there is that mentality, but we have to negate that. We have to kill that.
Yeah. Selfishly.
Yeah.
Like, I've always, you know, like, if my wife took the class and she's gotten her license and stuff, but I just always leave it up to her. I do not pressure her one way or another. I'm like, if you want to ride, we'll edge ourselves into that, right? But I don't want to force it because, you know, like, it's literally life or death. And I know that with me, she's, you know, always on that spectrum. Like, my husband might not come home tonight. Yeah. And I maybe selfishly, I'm like, I don't really want to worry that my wife might not come home tonight, you know? But at the same time, you know, I'm not trying to keep her from it. I'm just trying to keep her knowing that it's a very serious thing to take serious. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But if it is what made her happy and filled her soul, why would you not want that for your partner or your friends or your sister, you know? Yeah. All you can do is equip them with the knowledge and the skill to be better at it.
To be fair. Yeah. Not most men, there are a lot of men that shouldn't ride bikes too. Yeah. So, and I've always said this, and I think it goes on both things. Like, some people are more quick reacting. Mm-hmm. They're more always paying attention, and they're able to kind of navigate on a motorcycle through places like this and see things. And others aren't, male or female. I think it's literally just a case of how quick they react to things and how much they pay attention to. You know, I got a buddy that I've known forever that rides motorcycles all over the country and wrecks all the fucking time because he doesn't pay attention. Yeah. And then my wife sometimes is the person that comes to the light and then looks around to see what's going on. And I'm like, man, you got to be aware of everything as you're coming up to stuff. Yeah. And those reasons I get more like scared of her being on a bike because you have your first decision is the one that might save you. Yeah. You know, and you have
to be really aware of everything, especially, I mean, even in country roads, some people don't stop at stop signs. If you assume that guy's going to stop, do not.
Never assume.
Yeah. Never assume. And even in LA, I'm always waiting for the light to turn green for a second just to make sure no one's going to run it. Yeah. And, but also, I don't know how you ride without mirrors. I can't see shit. I was like, he doesn't even know I'm back here. I could be in France right now. Yeah. I was like, I think he can like feel that I'm here. But I always use my mirror, watch people coming up from behind me. Yeah. Like, be very spatially aware because it is life or death most places.
100%, yeah. I wish I had mirrors. It just wouldn't look cool.
You're not
on that bike. On other bikes, I would love to have
that bike mirrors. It would really kind of fuck with the vibe. Yeah. Yeah. You're right. I know. I was joking that I'll come hand you one of my mirrors, screw it off and hand it to you so you can see I'm back there.
Here's for the rest of the road.
Yeah. But I think it's everyone, I mean, we've all had those people like, my friend had died and blah, blah, blah. I would never do that. It's what sets our, like, it's what fills us, like, good and bad. Like, we can't just not do it now. Yeah. There's either riders or there's not. There's, like, people who enjoy it a lot, or there's people who are like, meh, sure, or not into it at all. My dad actually did the class with me. He doesn't like it. He didn't ride. He sold his bike. Yeah, he's just like, man, not for me. And the more I rode, I was like, that's okay. Yeah, do not. Actually, that's fine. I'm an only child, only grandchild. I worry about them a lot already, being so far away.
Yeah.
And the more he was like, I'm not really into it. I said, you know what? That's okay. And that's how you feel about with your wife. Like, you don't want to pressure her to something she doesn't love.
Yeah. And
then her get hurt. And then whose fault was that?
The thing is, like, riding, and you could attest to this, like, riding in the class is one thing, and maybe it's, you know, pressure, you know, like depending on the kind of instructor you have. But I mean, once most people get that feeling of cruising with a friend or two and the sun's at the right spot and you're on the right vibe, like it's pretty intoxicating. Yeah. And it's hard to turn that off and never want to chase that high again, you know? But yeah, I just think that it's important to, like, say if my wife decides tomorrow, like, hey, I think I want to take another stab at riding, because she doesn't hate the experience. Yeah. She just, like, I think she had a really shitty instructor that made her more anxious or more anxiety in the process of learning it.
And that can kill.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, not every man knows how to teach a woman how to do something. So maybe if there were more classes where women were the instructors, not to segregate things, but we all learn and we take in information in different tones differently. Yeah. You know what I mean?
And everyone's brain works differently. Yeah. We're all different. That's why we need so many different communication styles. I have a friend out here that just became an instructor. Nice. Savannah she's in Pennsylvania now. She's an instructor. Yeah. I think Brandy Moya in Vegas is an instructor. I'm not sure Narissa. Do you know Narissa? She was an engineer for Harley. She knows moto. She's doing this. She's an engineer. She's freaking awesome.
I think I know of her.
She's doing this podcast or a little video series where she's like, I'm explaining engines in very simple terms so everyone can understand. Yeah. Whoever needs to know. And I think maybe sometimes women might have a little bit more compassion to be like, they're not getting this. Let me try. Yeah. But men are like, you get it or you don't. Bye. Kind of like tough love.
Yeah, we definitely have that, you know.
Sometimes, but that's, again, generalization. Depends on the personality. Yeah. But yeah, it's hard to push someone into something. Like, with dating, I'll try to date somebody who's like a new rider. I'm like, oh, we're not gonna catch up. I'm so sorry. Like, I just don't want to push them to do something they're not comfortable with, and they get hurt.
How does that work though? Like, I mean, not work, but
it doesn't. Is what's going on. It does not.
What's that like? Like being a biker chick for the most part. Yeah. And like dating. I mean, are you like, you're only looking in the spaces of men who ride as well? Or is it like, how does that work?
I have tried to date. So when I first started riding, I didn't date at all. I just was like, no thanks. I really tried to work myself into a space where I'm respected as a rider. So I didn't want to come into any male space as a potential girlfriend to anyone. I want to see, she's a fucking badass rider. She's learning. Yeah. Sometimes I'm not badass. Sometimes I'm okay.
Like the sticker set.
Yeah, whoops. Yeah. Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit. But I don't know why I did that. I just came in a space where I was like, no, I had this wall up. And I was like, absolutely not. So you're a homie, everyone's homies. We're all homies. I'm not here to date any of you. That's for other people. I'm sure probably people thought I was a lesbian for a long time because they're like, you have a boyfriend? I did for a minute. And when I finally kind of went on my big 2020 trip where I ever first saw you for the first time, I kind of came home and I was like, you know what? I'm really closed off. Maybe I need to open up a little bit more, because maybe I do need to open it up and be like, maybe that guy I've always kind of thought was cute but never really thought about it. Who knows? Yeah. So I came back very open. And at that time I was like, I can't date I ride. Yeah. I ride. Like, that's what I like to do. If somebody, I don't know how this is going to work, and I understand that this is very high maintenance, but if somebody is like, hey, do you want to go to the beach for the weekend? Are we riding a motorcycle by it? Because that's what I want to do. Yeah. That's what I love to do. I love the community. I would have never seen any of this country without a motorcycle. Mm-hmm. I need to do 3-ish dates left. That's all I got. Connected. But I would have never done anything and seen anything and met any of the people that made me who I am now if I didn't ride. And I need somebody who understands that. And I want somebody, I do most of my road trips by myself because I'm stubborn.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do and I just go.
Yeah.
Everything's usually last minute. I don't want to take in a lot of other, I'm just like, this is what I'm doing. I'm going. Goodbye. I'm going. It's happening. And if somebody wants to come, cool. But there's so many amazing things I've seen where I look around like, oh, there's no one fucking here to share that with.
Yeah.
And there's so many things, especially my 2020 trip, because we were all so secluded when I came back.
Yeah.
Still, there's things I've completely forgotten because there was no one there to witness it with me. And every once in a while I'll be like, oh my gosh, that did happen. That was insane. And I didn't have anyone and I didn't come back to tell anyone because we were all secluded. So I would love to have a partner that rides with me and rides in the style I ride or can keep up.
Well, it has
I can't really throw a dude on the back. And there's guys that have offered, but I think I'm good on that.
Yeah. It's demasculating.
It is, to each their own. But I don't really want to be the boss in the situation.
It's fun at like an event.
Yeah, it's silly. Yeah,
not,
hot dog.
Not to dinner.
Hot dog. No. I want to be on our own bikes. Also, it's hot. Why are it's so close to me? I want to be on our own bikes and like hold hands at lights, like do dumb stuff, fucking click each other's starter button off. Be idiots, like stomp on their fucking shifter so they go into first and they stall their bike. Yeah. Just casual stuff.
Well, what was your you said you got your first bike in 17, right? Mm-hmm. And then 3 years later you're like, I'm fucking going across the country. Like how does that happen? Mentally?
A lot. So yeah, I got a Yamaha 650 off of Craigslist. When I came back in October.
Craigslist, dude.
Craigslist.
That's a deep cut.
I call him my biker daddy, not in a weird way. And he's like this huge fucking dude from Chicago. And I'm not tough. Mm-hmm. Like, if somebody's like $5 million, I'd be like, okay, I don't have it, but here's the... Like, I'm not a negotiator. I need somebody else to handle that for me, please. Because I'm not bossy. I'd just be like, no, I got to go, bye. So I knew him from set. He worked on set with me, and he rode. He had a Deuce at the time. Yeah. And I knew he was tough. So I was like, can you come? Also, I can't ride these bikes yet. Like, I need somebody to ride it around the block a minute and also talk to the people because Craigslist is sketchy.
Yeah. They have no profiles.
No profiles. You have no idea. They were on the side of the road. Yeah. So we went to look at a couple of Yamaha 650s, V-Stars, Harley-esque looking bike. And one of them, he was like, nah, let's not do this one. And another one, this kid just fixed him up. And I think he just flipped him for cheap.
Yeah.
I got it for $1,500.
Nice.
I have no idea how much mileage it had on it. And on that one, I was like, let me just see if I like this in Los Angeles. Honestly, I may not even like this. Why would I go buy a bajillion-dollar bike and be like, meh? And I think that happens a lot. People get really wrapped up in the romance of it. And they're like, I need a fucking Road Glide CVO. And they don't first know how to ride it. Don't ride it as it should be ridden. Yeah. And then they're like, I don't really like this. So I had that for like a minute because it started leaking out of the heads. Ooh. And through that, I started going to a lot of events. I would try to go to, I had a broken leg for a minute. I broke my leg in December of that year and couldn't get back on the bike till February. Mm-hmm. I would just see all these events on Instagram, and that's an amazing way Instagram has changed my life. Yeah. I wouldn't know you if not for Instagram. None of it. And it sucks butts a lot of times, but a lot of us wouldn't be in the same community we are. And I'm so thankful for that.
It's just become an acquired taste.
It's become you just gotta set boundaries with it. Yeah. And I would just go to events and I would see people, and I met this guy, Matt Fielding, who's since passed, at something random. No, like a friend of a friend through Instagram was like, hey, you should ride to Chopper Fest with this guy. And I ended up riding with this big group of women. I rode with the LA Leaders out here, which was my first group ride on a freeway. I didn't tell any of them that. I was just like, yeah, I could do this. We're going. Send it.
Yeah.
Terrified. And he passes me standing up on his bike. And I was like, I'm glad I did not ride with him. He was on his seat surfing his bike as he passes my group. And I was like, okay. Yeah, that would have been out of my limits.
Weird flex, but it's cool.
Yeah, he was crazy, man. And he was an amazing photographer. He could rip the canyons at 100, hang off his bike, and shoot photos of us.
Nice.
It was insane. Fielding Fabrication, if you ever want to look him up. He was an amazing guy. And I just started meeting more and more people. And eventually, the V-Star started having a head gasket leak, and I took it to a local shop here. He worked with a guy named Brennan Bartell, who now builds KCPs up in Portland, Seattle, one of the rainy places. He's an amazing bike builder up there. Bartell Manufacturing, I think. They were best friends. And I take my bike in, and they're like, it's going to be like $2,000 to open this thing up. And I was like, I paid way more than I know. Yeah. I paid $1,500 for this fucking thing. I'm just going to like, it'll be fine. I'll figure it out. So I kind of started looking into other bikes. And that's when I found the Sporty. 2008 Sportster XLC Custom, orange and black. And I kind of love Halloween. I'm not like a super ghouly girly, but I kind of made it moves to buy that. And I got her, and that's when I started tracking my mileage on the bike. And that was 2018. And I talked a little bit about it with Taylor. That was a rough year in my life for many reasons. So kind of the thing that kept me going was I would get out and do 100 miles a day. And from my house, no freeways, all around kind of back roads, all the way out to Malibu, Ventura, and back was 100 miles. So that's what I would do every day to get out of the house and not be incredibly depressed, because a lot of stuff was going on in my life. And it kind of kept me afloat, and that racked up miles after a while. Yeah. And I just started meeting new people. I would run myself ragged going to events out here. There's so much stuff out here.
Yeah,
all the time.
Twice, 2 a day. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's how I met so many amazing different riders, different communities, just going to events and be like, hey, we have this event here. You should come to that. Hey. And it just grew and grew. And then I started pretty much only going to those rides and making friends with those people. And it just took off. And I discovered so much about myself, about my capabilities, my knowledge, my friendships. And it slowly just grew to writing more and more and more. And one day in 2020, the world had shut down. Yeah. And we got unemployment out here. I'm a freelance makeup artist for the film industry, as you know, but no one's calling me for work during this. And not even now, but before, the minute you schedule a vacation, somebody's like, hey, can you work this day, this day, this day? You're like, shit. So I was like, no one's calling me. So I had, I think by that time I had ridden to Vegas once.
So what, like 350?
Or twice, yeah.
Something like that?
That was my first time, and that was in 2019, maybe January, somewhere around there. And I rode to Vegas and back. And then I just was like, the world shut down. What should I go do? Like, I'm getting unemployment. I don't know what demon popped the idea to ride to the East Coast in my head, but I was like, I think I'm going to try to go to this thing called FXR Jam East Coast. I'm not on the FXR. And I had, made friends with the FXR guys and all that. And I had put quite a few miles down out here. So I understood the concept of the bike. And I wrote Chris on the East Coast. I was like, hey, weird question. Am I allowed to come to this? Like, I'm not going to be on FXR, and I'm going to be on a Sportster, but I'm riding from LA to Maggie Valley, North Carolina. Yeah. What do you think? And he was like, yeah, you should definitely come out here. We don't care you're not on the FXR. It's fine. And I said, well, I'm going to do it. And I kind of told a few people and told my parents, of course. I was like, I know this kind of sounds crazy, but like, might as well, right? Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't know what possesses me to do the things I do, but I'm just like, yeah, we're doing it. I'm going to do it.
Having some form of destination like helps solidify the purpose a little bit. And I think that no matter how big or small a destination is, it's just like something. Hey, look, I'm just going to this. Yeah. Other than that, like it feels weird when people are like, hey, what are you out here doing? I was like, I don't fucking know, dude. I'm just out here.
Yeah, just fucking around. So it's like that meme that's like, I don't know, just hanging around. Yeah, it helped for sure. I left LA with 4 or 5 girls, I think. And there was an event in Texas for women, hypothetically. There was not only women there once we got there, but that's a whole nother podcast that's not recorded. And that was a journey. I rode with this girl, Becky. She fucking rides. And I remember we were in Tucson. We had left LA at like 2 a.m. And we were in Tucson. It was 1 bajillion degrees. And I was starving by this time because I didn't wake up early enough to eat or late enough to eat. It was confusing. And she wouldn't stop. And I was like, hey, Becky, do you have a lunch stop planned? And she was eating hard-boiled eggs out of her bags. She was like, nope, I'm eating these eggs. And I was like, oh, I got to go. I'm taking a break. We're stopping here. You guys keep going. So she does like 1,000. She does 1Ks in a day all the time.
Yeah.
She's a badass rider. And, but it's crazy because no one would know about her. Yeah. And no one in the community knows there's so many amazing riders, and even more so maybe because I'm more exposed to it. So many amazing women riders that.
Yeah.
My friend Kate has done like 100,000 miles on a Moto Guzzi around the country. She's about to go to the Babes Ride Out East Coast in New York on it. She did it when I went. Like on a Guzzi, that seems so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And awful. But she's badass and she does it. And my first goal was Texas. I went to Lubbock. I met the Lubbock girls. We hung out there for a while. Then we went. I think it's very funny to find people with matching bikes as me. I don't know why. It's stupid.
Yeah.
But especially because I have a rarer color, the orange and black. Well, there was a guy in Dallas with an orange and black Sportster, and we had made friends online. And the girls kept going. I went to Oklahoma, visited family, came back down, visited with him. We were riding to that second event down in Bandera, Texas.
Okay, yeah.
And somewhere in Lampasas, Texas, I kind of slow down and I hear this noise that does not sound right. And I'm like, what is this tinging noise? This sounds weird. I got to pull over. Yeah, I had shredded my engine. It was done. Shredded.
Damn.
Like the crank ran out and shredded everything. And then it got so hot, it welded itself. Like everything was bad.
Fuck.
It was bad. So I think it was like Round Rock Harley, one of the Harleys in north of Austin, Central Texas. I'm not sure.
Central Harley,
Yeah.
That's what it is.
And they were like, we'll stay open for you, but you got to get it here. And it was 6 p.m. on a Friday. I was like, there's no tow truck going to come get me in bumfuck Texas until Monday. I'm screwed. Like the whole event's screwed. But I have people relying on me to be there. And so another thing that the internet's given me, I posted online, posted what's going on. I did limp it to Texas. Mm-hmm. And the guy put a, what are those things called? Like stethoscope on it. And it was like, you fucked. Unpack this thing. I was like, fuck. And I just, I just share my life. I don't know what I'm doing on Instagram. Yeah. I'm just living and I'm not trying to influence anyone. I'm just like, hey, this is what's happened. Cool. Follow along for this debauchery.
Yeah.
And my friend out of Oklahoma said, hey, come get my street glide. Keep going.
Nice.
And so I went to that event in Texas, came back up, waited for my dad to come get me. And I went and got his street glide and continued on. So I did all the way to the East Coast on that street glide. So I even showed up on a less cool bike. I was going to come on a Sportster, now I'm on a damn street glide. Yeah. But it was so good. I could pack so much in the thing.
Yeah.
So much.
There's so much space for activities.
And a lot of the girls one of the girls was supposed to come with me. She didn't want to by the half of it. And I don't know. There's a lot of pressure I put on myself to be like, well, I told people I was doing it, so I'm doing it.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
I think that about every ride. Every time I leave this state, because so many people are like, oh, you're going to do it on a dyno, or you're going to do it this, oh, blah, blah, blah. How do you have the courage to do that? I'm like, it gets to me right then. And I'm like, you just got to go until I can't turn back, and then I'm fine. Yeah. But until I can turn back, I'm like, I should just go home, right? I should just wrap this up. And so I took the street glide out to Maggie Valley, North Carolina, FXR Jam East Coast. Didn't know a single soul.
Did you keep going after that?
I did, actually. It's funny. I've actually been talked about on the Fast Life podcast, but I've never been on it. Mm-hmm. Joe, I always call it's like a million-hour trilogy. His episodes are so long.
Yes.
I walked up, I was like, hey, Chris, I'm Jessica. And I love East Coast FXR Jam. I haven't been to the West Coast one, but I can assume that it's all the people I already know. I feel like it probably is a different vibe.
Yeah, I mean, geographically, they're going to have different vibes. I mean, I haven't been to the newer East Coast one that's up in New York. Yeah. But all the dudes, I mean, the FXR has always brought a lot of really great people that truly love motorcycles to the campfire, if you will. So, the West Coast, I've ridden by the spot they do it, the Topaz Lodge.
Yeah.
It's just always like, it's hard to hit events that are within like 2 weeks before or 2 weeks after Sturgis.
Yeah. Because you're like, do I prolong it or just go home and yeah.
Yeah, especially when they're, I'm in Texas, so from here to the West Coast Jam is an entire fucking experience.
Yeah, it's a whole 2 days to get out of Texas.
My goal last summer was to do, and when I attempted to do was like, okay, that's fucking out of the question. Sorry, I'm like fucking.
Are you dying? Is it the end?
No, I don't know what it is. Maybe. I think I got AIDS.
Happens.
LA,
did you?
I was gonna leave and go to the East Coast Jam.
Yep.
Ride to the West Coast, do the West Coast Jam, and then just kind of bop around and do the Sturgis.
Yeah, do the Triple Crown.
And do the Triple Crown, but on one run. Yeah. And everything was set up, and then some things happened. I couldn't make the East Coast. So it kind of put it out of the water. I was like, well, I don't want to do the West Coast then.
Yeah,
so,
if I'm going to do it, I want to do it all.
I want to do it all, yeah. I think that the Triple Crown thing is a badass idea.
Yeah, I think it's really cool. My friend Melissa's done it.
Yeah.
On her FXR, she's amazing. We're good friends. She's awesome.
She lives in Palm Springs, right?
Yeah, she's in Palm Springs.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was riding home from Arizona a few weeks ago when I did Bisbee because I did 1,300 miles that weekend back and forth to Bisbee. I was fucking miserable.
Did you go to the Prowl?
Yeah.
Yeah, how was that?
It was fun. It was cool. It was cool. I was really thankful. Law Tigers was like, we'll send you out to the Prowl. You got to get going. Like, what do you mean you're not going to the Prowl, Jessica? You ride everywhere. Let's go.
You didn't have to wear the mustache on this one, did you?
No. And, but I was miserable, and I texted Melissa. I was like, can I sleep at your house? And she was already asleep. And I was like, I'm so sorry. But then I rode by her again, and she was like, she has my location all the time. She was like, I can hear you riding by my house right now. I was like, oh, my bad. Sorry. Hi, Fran. She's awesome. She's just so down. She's so cool. She's rad. But at that event, at FXR Jam East Coast, I love those guys. It was like 12 guys named Jim. Everyone's Jim. And they have the baddest bikes, and they're just old school kind of guys. And they're just like, are you the girl that rode from California? I'm like, yeah, it's not a big deal. Like, kind of. I rode a bike to Texas, and there was a thing. But they were just so welcoming and so nice. And I didn't know a fucking soul there. Yeah. And they were just like, come hang out with us, come blah, blah, blah. And I introduced myself to Chris as soon as I showed up because he was easy to spot. And then Joe, kid, was sitting next to him. Mm-hmm. And Joe was like, what are you doing after this? And I said, well, I want to touch the Atlantic just to do the thing, Yeah. He's like, cool, I'm coming with you. And I was like, okay, all right. I'm Jessica. What's your name? He was like, Joe, kid. And I was like, all right. And he had that green FXR that he had picked up from Texas, I think, or something. Because he was on a tour picking up all these FXRs from everywhere.
He came to our camp out and then left the camp out. I think he traded a bike at the camp out and then kept on going.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, sure. Okay. And I didn't really know him from anyone. I was like, well, I don't know what's going on right
I think
now.
that's when I first started following you or knew of you is during, like, you became homies with him and it then popped up on the radar.
Yeah.
So.
And we, I did know a guy that rode a T-Sport out on Pawleys Island, South Carolina. So that was my end goal. Because I was like, I know a person there from the internet.
Yeah.
So he and I rode down to Pawleys Island, South Carolina. And I mean, it was rain. We were fucking miserable. And I just think road times, you bond with someone differently than just hanging out. Like, I can not talk to someone all the time, but I'm like, we did those miles together. That's my homie. I don't know. It's just something different. And so we did South Carolina, and every day was a new day because I was like, I don't know what's next because I don't know when my bike's going to be done. I'm still on this street glide. Yeah. And I had met some amazing people in Knoxville. I was just being on the internet and just being like, hey, tomorrow I'm in Knoxville. I had people, the girl who makes my rings, she was like, hey, I met these guys at a event somewhere. They have a shop in Knoxville. Go meet them. And I met them. And it's just a crazy tangled web of everyone. Yeah. And so after he went somewhere and I went back to Maggie Valley, it was a doozy. I wanted to ride the Dragon again on the way up. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. So I have my little GoPro trying to get video of it. I don't think I ever looked at that video ever again. I have so much footage. I'm like, I'm not good at editing. I'll never see that again. Yeah, it's somewhere.
It's in a hard drive somewhere.
Somewhere. Yeah. And on that trip, I'm now by myself. It's raining, but I'm now positioned myself to only way back to where I'm going is the Dragon. All right, we're doing it on a fucking street glide. It's raining and this sucks. And I had stopped in Maggie Valley to kind of get myself situated. And I rode I don't know if I'm geographically right. I rode up north for about a while, like 70 plus miles. Mm. And I stop at this gas station. And as I'm stopping at this gas station, first off, I don't put the kickstand down. So I just plummet straight into the gas pump. And I try to turn the bike off and turn it back on again. The keys are missing.
Oh, shit.
Keys are gone. I have no idea where the keys are.
You lost the keys?
Lost the keys. Ooh. But now this bike's like freaking the fudge out at this gas station. I'm now in the gas pump and everyone's just looking at me. And I'm like, I got this, I guess. I'm fine. It was awful. And I was panicking because it's not my fucking bike. Yeah. I'm trying to see if I damaged it at all. Luckily, I hadn't. But I have no idea where the keys are. I have no... Yeah. When did I have them last? I have no idea. So I remember I stopped in some business in Maggie Valley's parking lot. And I was like, it's 5 p.m. And I'm like, oh my God, I hope they answer their phone. So I called them. They were in their parking lot. I had dropped them when I was getting my GoPro and stuff out in the parking lot. And this guy's like, well, we don't open till Monday. And I was like, well, I'm at a gas station. So I don't, can you just put them in your mailbox or hide them somewhere, please, for me? And he was an older gentleman. He was like, yeah, I guess I'll do that. Yeah, that's okay. So we hit him, and now I had to figure out how to get to where I was, to where I needed to go. It was jillions of miles. It was so far, because it's not 70 miles. It was 70 miles, which seems like much more. Yeah. And it's raining, and it's awful. I'm in this town. They don't have a taxi. They have a guy named Mike. And they're like, call Mike.
Put the PIN number in the bike?
Didn't know that existed.
Okay.
And I was so terrified to call the owner that I just figured it out. And Mike charged me $75 to get. There was another guy in his car with me. He was like the local Uber.
Yeah.
And he drove me all the way back. I got the keys, drove me all the way back. And not until I got home did I tell the guy that I lost the keys. And he was like, there's a PIN number. And I was like, what? Oh my God. Now I know. Yeah. Now I know. So that was, it's always just getting myself into shit and getting out of it. But shit's going to happen.
Sometimes when you go on those rides in those places and you do it in those unfavorable conditions, it creates a one-off experience because most people are not going to, you know, like I like to say that a lot of times I did a late start on PCH once. Yeah. And I got to catch the sunset in the middle of PCH and we were heading way further in, but I got to experience something that I probably don't think I'd ever really get again because if I'm not staying on PCH, I'm not going to see a sunset on PCH. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it was amazing. Or like a Lolo Pass, right? Yeah, I love Lolo Pass. I've done it twice, and the first time I did it, it was pouring rain. And it fucking was sick. Yeah. The river was high. It was like you were really, you're paying attention more because you don't want to fucking wreck. Yeah. Then I did it last year again, and it was still dope. But I was like, man, it was kind of better the first time. Yeah? Yeah. I avoided it this year because of the rain. I didn't have a choice. Yeah. There's times you don't. You just got to go. You got to go to where you're going. I mean, it's just one of those things. And then like we were headed from Missoula back down to Boise. Yeah. And so we all stopped at the next town when the rain kind of let up and we're all sitting there in our underwear as we dry our clothes in this little small town. And, I have memories in that small town and we probably would have just gassed and left. Yeah. Had that not happened. So I don't know. I feel like embracing kind of the shitty situations help. It's been said so much like, oh, the breakdowns and the hard times make for the best times. It's like, it's kind of like it's getting kind of oversaid to the point where it's like a clickbaity kind of not clickbaity, but like cliche. Cliche. Yeah, exactly. But I mean, the truth is, it is the truth. I just think it's like you don't plan it. No. It's like, and you can't plan it. Yeah, you just have to run through the storm when the storm's coming in. Yeah. You know what I mean? I feel like a lot of people are scared to even start because they're like, well, what if? A lot of times when I'm going, what if? I guess I'll figure it out if it happens. And if it doesn't, cool. It's just, we can't not live life. What if? Yeah, yeah. Because just plan for the worst to happen and figure it out. It'll be okay. Mm-hmm. It'll get figured out. Yeah, I mean, for the most part, like if you have, a credit card, I mean, you could pretty much get a U-Haul, rental truck, or you can find a place to park the bike and have it shipped home and fly home. And, there's always things. But what do you think is something like kind of a two-part little serious question here. Like, what do you think is something for the perspective of men to understand about women traveling?
Okay.
You know what I mean? You think we don't really think about it much, like maybe not so much hardships, but things that you have to think about that we probably wouldn't plan for,
First off, I'll preface this with I was raised a little bit differently. Mm-hmm. I mean, a lot of women ask me, and so I'll use their words as an example because there's some things that I don't think about because I'm already doing that.
Yeah.
And I don't have that fear. A lot of women are like, well, what if you meet a creepy guy on the road? What if this or that? What if somebody follows you to your hotel? And I think that's a huge fear within the community, especially because I am alone. I mean, tons of people on the road will be like, hey, are you riding by yourself? And I'm like, yeah. And you read them. Read them. Because if it's a man asking me, is it a little old grandpa? He's probably just, but doesn't even, a lot of people ask you questions not thinking what it could mean to you.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I was on the way to Bisbee by myself, and some guy's like, hey, where are you going? And I was like, Los Angeles. I just told him the opposite way.
Yeah.
Because you don't need to know where I'm going. I'm by myself. I do have to think about that.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, we're going to the Prowl. And I was like, see you there. Fuck. Like, shit. He's like, yeah, my wife's riding the bike for the rest of the way. It's like, oh, well, I lied to you just now, just so you know. My bad. We have to think about that stuff because a lot of people see a woman by themselves and think easy target. Yeah. Either to steal her shit off her bike or to do something worse. Mm-hmm. And I think men can live a life because that doesn't even have to worry about that because they, under assumption, are more dangerous or more able to handle themselves than women. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, even in my own neighborhood, sometimes if a car's been following me too long, I'll go by my apartment. First off, the first thing I think about is them stealing my bike. Yeah. I have to think about that a lot. I do think about that on the road quite a bit. There was a hotel that I stopped in Arizona on, I don't know, because that trip, 2020, I went to Sturgis. I went to Billion Dollar Highway. I did Unawip to Bigwash. Fucking amazing road.
The fact that you pronounced that was pretty impressive.
I don't know if that's right. So
it's I don't know.
Yeah. I did so many roads, but then there was a point where I needed to stop. I would just decide where I would stop. I didn't plan things out. I'd be like, I got like 200 more miles in me. Let's keep going. And I was on the Sportster by then. You know what? This was on the Dyna. So when I went to New York City and back, and I ride into this, I just book online. Mm-hmm. I ride into this Motel 6, and there's this like fully tattooed guy standing out there. And I park, and he's looking at my bike. He goes, what is that? That's a Harley. Just trying to like, let's just not talk about this. And he starts like inspecting my bike and looking at it. And he's like, yeah, I know some guys out here that ride. And he was just like acting weird. And the hotel just got weirder and weirder. There were like, I think it was like maybe a unhoused person living place at the moment. And it was like trashed. It was the worst hotel I've ever stayed. The tub had black stuff all over it. And I started thinking about it more and more. And I said, yeah, I'm going to wake up and my bike's not going to be there. Because he was just asking too many questions about it.
Yeah.
But like not really telling me enough. And I was like, you know too much, sir. So I just packed up and left that hotel and got another hotel. Because I kind of read him in a way where I was like, I don't think physically I'm in danger, but I do feel like he knows enough to know a guy with a trailer.
Yeah.
To get my bike, and I'm wake up to no bike in the morning. And that scares me a lot on the road. I always try to get those hotels where the doors at the parking spots, and I always try to park right in front of my door.
Yeah, yeah. Those are motels.
Motels, yes. Hotel, motel, Holiday Inn.
Yeah.
The worst is when you're in a Holiday Inn, you just see your bike from a very long staircase. You're like, if somebody steals that,
you
I
see
have
the
to
window,
be like, sir.
But if someone's like, take it, no, don't. And you got to run way down the hallway and then back out.
Yeah. Then
I said no.
I said, please don't. But a lot of women have to think about their personal safety because there are people who come up to us. Sometimes I'm doing stuff on my back and a man will walk behind me, walk up behind me. And I spin around like, do not walk up to women like that, sir. Yeah. But you have to know how to read them because there's mentally ill, there's drugs out in the boonies.
Yeah.
Drugs everywhere. And you never know what they're doing. So I think a lot of guys don't always think about that. But it's also not enough to be scared to do it. Yeah. You just have to learn, or if you have a partner. Kind of
situational awareness helps, you know?
If you have a partner that wants to do that but is scared because of that, maybe instead of saying, yeah, you probably shouldn't, it's unsafe, maybe say, hey, why don't we teach you how to use a knife? Why don't we teach you some situation awareness? Like, why don't I start when I'm out going, hey, where's the nearest exit? How would you get out of here quicker? How would, do you notice anyone acting weird? Like, instead, like, give them the opportunity to learn how to handle themselves instead of saying, no, you just shouldn't. If they want to learn. Some people don't care and they're like, no, I'm good. But if they want to do things and be on the road by themselves, empower them to do so. I think that would really help. Yeah. If we all learn only what we're willing to be taught.
Probably the best thing is just to take a page out of Joe Kidd's book and just get a can of bear spray. That's probably the only thing, because like a knife or even a gun, in a sense, is like, that's an acquired skill as well. You don't just get to pull it out and you have the time to go to town. You know what I mean? But like,
and bear spray's better. I don't think pepper spray does it. There's a lot of people who like are kind of impervious to pepper spray. Yeah. Also, with my size, I know a perpetrator is gonna have to get close enough to me. They see me. They're like, I have to get on her to get her to go into a van or something. I can't be like, back up, I have to stab you, BRB, and a knife can be taken from you. A gun, you have to be a good shot. Also, you don't want to do close range. So bear spray would be great because it's a wide blast, right?
Yeah, and if you just got it on the hip like he carries it, just don't.
Yeah. Bear spray will fuck people up.
So, I mean, it makes sense, but like does that
answer your question?
Yeah, I mean, it's not really a question. It's just more like a perspective, you know? Yeah. Because like I said, it's just one of those things that like, I think a lot of people don't think about. And I think once you become a husband or a father to a daughter, like you think about stuff like that. If my daughter, who is 22, said, hey, I want to do a cross country trip, I'm not gonna be like, hey, have fun. Yeah. I'm gonna be like, all right, where are you going?
Yeah,
like,
what are you gonna do?
This. Let's like, what's your plans? You know what I'm saying? Like enough to where it's like, I don't want to be overbearing, or I want to like worry her into not wanting to go. But I mean, it's hard not to just be like, all right,
I want to set you up for success. Instead of like, I'm not trying to find loopholes.
They make movies about shit you're about to do. Yeah. That's how a lot of movies start. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
A lot of true crime starts that way too.
Exactly. So, let's walk through this real quick. You know what I mean?
I don't know. You know what? I didn't really talk to my dad. I'm close to my dad and my mom, but I didn't talk to my dad about it a lot. He raised me in a way where I comprehend what's going on around me most times, which is exhausting. I would love to not. And he knows that. Yeah. So he kind of raised me to be that. So I was like, I'll figure it out. So I can read people that are being weird. I never really got too far into a situation, but I think it's important to and it might just take a different approach than it does with men. Yeah. Empower them. Be like, hey, how can I help you learn? What skills do you feel like you are lacking? Do you know how to change your oil? Do you know how to check your tire pressure? Yeah. Give them the confidence to do that. And I hope if we can do that and pass it along in a few generations, it won't be a question as to you're riding by yourself.
Well, yeah, and that kind of circling back to the earlier conversation, over time, I think it'll become more of a thing that, as a dad, like I don't want to force anything on my daughter. No, yeah. Dude shit or woman shit. Yeah. Like I'm like, hey, look, if you're interested, I'll teach you what you want. Yeah. But I'm not going to force you to do anything. And I think that's kind of the situation that, generalizing, sometimes women tend to, some women just want to learn. They don't care. Yeah. It's like, I get a dude to do it. Yeah. And then there's a whole new group of women that are coming out like, I want to fucking build my own transmission. And you're like, fuck, dude, I don't even know how to do that. You know, so like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah. And I think that's great. And I think there's a place for both parties. Yeah. But it's hard because when guys are like one party, it's hard to understand the other party.
There's a bunch of dudes. I mean, the world of men are that way. There's not every dude's a dude. Mm-hmm. Like a dude. Like some dudes are just like, yo, man, like I work in an office.
I take my bike in.
Yeah. I've never checked my tire pressure. I go to fucking a thing to do it. Like, and nobody's, I mean, yeah, in the corner, we're like, look at this dude. You know what I'm saying? But we don't mean anything by it. Kinda.
Yeah. But I think those are just life skills. And
it's just difference, And I mean, there's some guys that can do shit like, oh, you don't know how to do an Excel spreadsheet. And I'm like, nah, dog. He's like, fucking
loser,
weirdo. Like,
nerd.
Exactly. So it's kind of like it's all perspective, right? So same thing with women. Like there's some women that can do some amazing things that other women can't, and those things might be considered to be more girl type shit. You know what I'm saying? So we're just becoming a big melting pot of a lot of people that want to try different things, and we're all getting used to the idea that now the chicks want to hang out on the monkey bars. They used to just want to do the slide. Now they want to fucking get on the monkey bars.
Damn it, we got to make room.
You're doing it all wrong.
You're doing it all wrong. Yeah, I think it's really important because you were saying you do have trouble finding. It's hard to find women in the community to talk openly
because I want to have a real conversation, and I don't mind being wrong. Mm-hmm. I don't want to be chastised for it because I'm asking it or I'm projecting in a way that I'm also open-minded to. I'm reasonable. Hey, if you give me a better perspective, then I'll adopt that in a heartbeat, But at the same time, like a lot of women that are more popular within the motorcycle space tend to be popular because of other things than riding motorcycles. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how to, I don't want to not promote that and say that they're not, I just don't even want to get involved.
I know.
Like, hey, that's cool that you do that and you're into that, but I don't know how to connect or communicate or ask questions because I don't understand that world and I'm not that interested. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like if there was just this swole, just fucking beautiful man that had all the right packs, and that's all he did was show all that, I probably wouldn't have him on the podcast either. Yeah. Because I don't have nothing to fucking relate to.
No, it's not a gym podcast.
Exactly. It's like, bro, go talk about your fucking mixtures of your fucking protein shake on another thing. Like, I'm not interested.
I know. It's hard.
And the one thing about the motorcycle, the thing that's like supposed to be the most important thing is the motorcycle and what you're doing on it. It's, yes, I could agree that like what you do behind the scenes of the motorcycle world is important too. But if you only do things behind the scenes and nothing on the motorcycle, then I don't know how to connect with that, or I don't know what to do. You know what I mean? I just don't know where we're going to go with this conversation. Yeah. You want to complain about your photographer and your videographer because they're not getting your right angles all the time. It's like, you want to complain that everybody keeps trying to hit you up for like trying to hook up with you because you're putting all your goods out there. Like, I'm not hating. I mean, I think, I'm going to talk myself.
I know it's hard. Hole. This is a hard one.
I learn a lot through my wife. My wife kind of helps me understand sexuality and the way the women want to carry themselves. Some women want to be a little bit more revealing. Some people not. Some people are more this, more that, and trying to just be like, hey, everybody's different and they want to be their own way. It doesn't mean that's a hoe and that's not, right? So I just try to focus solely on you can dress however you want as long as you're riding your bike across some state lines and doing cool shit and not projecting a lot of like
weirdness, just
hate, drama. Then I'm down to have a conversation and get your perspective. Yeah. But I just don't want to get into drama. Drama doesn't get people excited about doing anything on a motorcycle.
It is hard. I will regret talking about this, but I have problems negotiating that within my head with women who are more bike models over anything. Mm-hmm. And there are women who do that fucking ride too. Yeah. And that's even more confusing in my head. I don't understand it, but it's not for me to understand fully. But I support them. But it is hard for me because I'm trying to make a space, even just for myself. I'm not forcing I'm just doing me. Yeah. And hopefully other people will see, oh, that's cool. I could do that too in my own space. Be a writer, but also be a woman. Be a motorcyclist, but also be a girl. Be a fucking girl who can work on a bike, but also I'm a makeup artist. Like, those are very opposite things, but they can both be true. But I feel like on the internet, a lot of I don't have a huge following because I comprehend the difference between the girls with 60,000 followers and my 10,000 followers. There's a difference there. Mm-hmm. But it's all algorithm. It's because I don't post certain things because it's not my preference, and that's fine. But I also see them as feeling empowered posting that stuff. And they're beautiful. Exactly. Good job, tits, A+ butt. I don't know what to say to them. You know, like,
I mean, I like looking at it.
Cool.
And I don't know if I'm supposed to or not.
I don't understand. What am I supposed to be looking at? Sometimes I see girls girls I don't know in front of bikes. I'm like, can you move? I can't see the bike. Honestly.
What bike is that?
They're, but it's hard because there is a place for everyone. And I always have to remind myself about that. But I do feel, I always want women to choose that path as a bike model or putting just videos of their chests bouncing around as they're riding. Is that empowering and does that make you happy? Are you doing it for you?
Yeah.
That's all I care about. I don't give a shit if are you doing it for you, or are you doing it because the whole planet, your entire life has told you that's what you're worth? Because I think there are some people in the community, none that I have friends with or talk to on a daily basis, so no one get mad at me. I see other women post very scandalous stuff, and that's fine. That's great. Mm. But then they are in the community, and they do cause a little bit of stir. I see that, and that's their whole thing. That's their shtick. I want my shtick to be that I'm a good skilled writer. That's all I care about. I want to be better. And sometimes, and I want other women to be like, oh, I want to fucking send it in the canyons. Will you teach me, or how did you do it? That's just me. And that doesn't have to be them. But I do feel like there's some women who maybe developed early or developed in a certain order where from a small age, they were kind of either told to their face directly or treated in a manner where they're like, your worth is your tits. That's your worth.
Yeah.
So they kind of just roll with it. And I don't know if it's by choice or it's just because of society. So they make that their whole Instagram, and that's fine. And they have tons of followers, and they probably make bank. Girl, get it. But I always have trouble negotiating that because I'm like, are you doing it because you enjoy doing it? Or are you doing it because you don't feel like you're worth more? Because there are so many of those women, if you really talk to them about, they know fucking bikes. They know bike models. They know engines. They know so much, but you would never know that because their online persona is just more of a model, even if they do ride. Like, there's so many women that only post, certain stuff, and it's such a hard topic to talk about because I try to be as cordial, and I don't want to be, I just want people to do things for themselves, not because they feel like, because honestly, those Instagrams attract the grossest fucking comments I've ever read in my life. Yeah. There's one girl, and she doesn't even post herself like that. She's just shapely like. The comments I get, she has tons of followers. Sometimes I'll go through her comments and I'm like, oh my God. Men are saying that aloud. Like, what? And she didn't ask for that. Putting yourself out there is not really asking for that. But it does harbor that. And that's unfortunate. But it's hard because there's a space for that. And they can do that, but it's hard for them if they want to be taken seriously as a motorcyclist. Yeah,
there's no excuse or any way to kind of say like, yo, like that's okay to be that way as a dude commenting on a woman still. It's just, it's kind of it's just some sad shit, to be honest with you.
And when will other people step in and go, stop doing that, dude?
I mean, dude, like the problem is that the echo chambers on the internet, like there's no, if someone does that in person, which may or may not happen. It obviously doesn't happen as much as it does on the internet, but in person, that shit might happen on a closed door. But if we're all hanging out, some dude came up creepily and he goes, dude, nice tits. and you felt bad, he's probably going to get hit by one of your homeboys, right?
Yeah.
So it happens in this safe space to them online where they can put all this shit out there or hit you up and ask you on a date. When you say no, they're like, oh, you fucking this and that.
Fat bitch. You're like,
yeah. It's like, it just shows a very immature, insecure version of men. Which, like I said, I can't do shit about that. The same way you can't do shit about, like, is this chick doing this or doing that or whatever? It just kind of, we all don't have control of all that shit. And it just sucks that, like, as you become a face or a figure for women motorcycle riders, like, that's a lot of added responsibility that you didn't necessarily sign up for. You're just trying to figure out your own shit. Yeah. I don't know how to fucking, write the rules or regulation for, female riders and what they can and can't do. Yeah. But I guess maybe for the men, like, we just struggle figuring out, the ones that aren't commented. I've never said anything like that.
My male friends have said some disgusting shit around me.
I mean, we say disgusting shit around each other, but not like in a way like, I'm not trying to bang my homeboy. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So like dudes can be that way. And
They didn't say it about me. They'll say it about other women that are around us. And I'm like, dude, she's just in shorts. Is she not allowed to exist? Like, come on, man. So I will call it out. I'll be like, she's allowed to wear shorts, my man. Yeah. Just because she doesn't have an ass doesn't mean she can't wear shorts. Yeah. She's not here for your visual pleasure. Like, she's just existing. What if that was your daughter? And I want everyone to say, anytime I say anything about it and say, hey, call it out, I'm doing it for your daughters. Because I never want your daughter to be in a situation where you're like, first off, somebody's talking about her for wearing shorts. Like, that's a normal fucking outfit. Yeah. Or she's ever with guy friends that are saying weird shit about women in front of her. That's fucking weird. Yeah. So when I try to call it out and point it out, I'm like, hey, I don't want to be a fucking feminist here. Hear me out. Because the guys make fun of me and shit, and that's fine. But they do understand me. Because I'm like, I'm doing it so your daughter never has to be in either of these situations. Because we have to train that mindset out of people. Mm-hmm. But we won't do it if we just don't say anything.
Yeah, I think men in general need to be open-minded to learning. Like, this is something I had to do in my relationship with my wife. Like, I had to learn, we've been together going on 11 years now. Yeah. And so I had to learn how to communicate with her, learn how to accept certain things within her and kind of change things about me to make it work, so that we can communicate together. So it's like, and I'm 40, I'm in my 40s, so it's like it's something that I was willing to do as an older guy. Probably when I first met her at 30 years old, I'm like, yo, I'm fucking Jay Sutton. I ride motorcycles, drink beer, and have fun. And if you don't like it, fuck off. But then you grow and you become this, and that's why I feel like when I see older men that are just completely disrespectful, especially through like YouTube comments and Instagram comments. Sometimes it's more like they're like Jesus thumpers and they're like trying to save you. Like, girl, you need to change your life before God, doesn't take you on the rapture or something. Yeah. It's like, why even comment?
But also, you're the one looking at her in a lustful way. It's not her existing.
Exactly.
Like, that should be on you, my man. Why don't you change your mindset and not look at her like in a weird way? Yeah. Or just close your eyes or don't say anything.
It's just weird.
Just don't say anything.
Look, I don't look at all the shit, but I guarantee, like, I don't.
But also, it feeds it to you guys too.
Yes. So
I think it knows your age, your demographic.
That's the thing, is the age and demographic. Yeah. It curates our feed. Now let's just, for shits and giggles, let's see what my For You page looks like. So,
boobies.
Well, there's the girl from Snow White that has I don't know what that whole meme is about with her.
I don't know. I haven't seen it. Boobies. Weird mouth thing. Boobies. Yeah, like. And I know men who say not interested, and it just comes back. Yeah. But it's just the media forcing it down our fucking throats. Well, and I could show you mine's probably.
See your For You page.
Yeah, right. Tits. It's just man tits constantly. Just wieners. Dinosaurs, nails, tattoos, motorcycles, hair, cowboy boots.
Nice. So I think, the people you follow too, it seems to like whatever it goes through that. So on my photography page, like I only really follow other photographers. Yeah, I get a lot of cat stuff on one. I forget which one. I have a personal, and the For You is different on each one. And My personal one, for some reason, is the wildest one with like breastfeeding videos and shit like that. But I think because I keep talking about it, and I keep showing people.
If I get breastfeeding videos, I'm gonna be so pissed.
And I keep showing people, look, I didn't have to scroll that far, and there it is. It's like then it starts to show up more in my shit. But it's just kind of a weird thing because I think that we're all in a situation where we're trying to, understand like there's one like literally it's like. It's kind of like the hood and the nice neighborhood. Sometimes it's like so quick it changes. Like we're supposed to be lusty, horny dudes. You missed your mouth. And then we're not supposed to be. And I think that in the biker world, it's like forever. And I'm not saying this in any kind of way of justification, but like if you walk in my shop, I have David Mann and Easy Rider centerfold posters all over my wall. There are titties on my wall.
Yeah.
It'd be like that. It's a bike shop. That's the world I grew up in.
Yeah.
I don't know. I hope that none of those women were forced to be centerfold models against their will.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming that because it's in a national publication, it's not some fucking Polaroids on the wall, that they agreed to this shit.
Yeah.
There it is.
There's a place for them for sure.
But do I have to balance it out by having girls that are riding their bikes on the wall too to kind of be like, oh, like doesn't mean I agree with one or the other because you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, you technically don't have to do anything you don't want to do.
Well, true. I'm just saying like for the aspect of because I have that on my wall, does that make me? I don't feel like it makes me someone that's against women riders.
Yeah.
Right. If a chick is on a cool ass bike and it's a badass photo and I happen to be able to get it and put it on the wall and I like it, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But it's just a weird place to be because like I said, this culture has been about women, music, motorcycles, tattoos, traveling, all this. Like it's always been a thing. And now we're in this weird spot where all the marketing and advertisement is still that. But
now the women are kind of getting sick of it. Because I'll tie it back to, so I went to Arizona Bike Week. Did you see my little shunt on that?
Yeah.
I went to Arizona Bike Week as Gabe from Law Tires.
Yeah. That was pretty funny.
It was fun. It was ridiculous. And what I got out of that and how that ended was I was in full makeup, like my makeup now, just with a mustache and a little soul patch on. And I was just introducing myself as Gabe from Law Tires.
Yeah.
How men, interacted with me was analyzing if they would still fuck me or not. Pretty much. That no one I don't know. Like the guys that I was with knew what was going on.
Yeah.
And they weren't weird. We were being silly. But men I didn't know would come up to me and go, I've never been into a woman with a mustache before, but I'm kind of into it. None of them were like, what are you doing? Why do you have a fucking mustache on?
Yeah.
None of them give a fuck why I have a mustache on.
Like, it's kind of like it's an easier line. It's like an opening comment or something.
But they didn't care the story why I had it on, or I had to force tell them, oh, my friend Gabe couldn't come, so I'm coming as Gabe. Ha ha ha. And they're like, I've never been into a woman with a mustache before. You want to dance later? Or this one guy turned around and said the most atrocious thing to me in front of everyone that I actually don't feel comfortable saying. I'm sure when I go on LFG, he's going to make me say it. But I was standing there with the guys, and people at Cave Creek specifically were looking at me so fucking weird because that scene is a scene where they don't understand. I was a woman with a mustache. Yeah. It was a different scene. And so they were staring at me. Eventually, I just had to start going, brother, because it was just weird. Stop staring at me. Or just like, haha, get it. It's a joke, haha, funny. And this man spun around and he had this wild look in his eyes. And he said one of the most like 4 disgusting things to me I've ever heard in my life. And we all just like got nervous and cracked up. And then it kept going. So like no one I didn't know was interested. What are you doing?
Yeah.
They were all like, would I still fuck her? Yeah. And that's insane to me to think about that. And after that happened, there was a post online from a dealership that said, what's the worst accessory you can put on a bike? And mind you, I was there representing a brand that I believe in and that supports women riders.
Yeah.
And someone from that brand was like a person on the back. And then another later a woman said a fat chick on the back. And they posted this like publicly. And I was like, oh, we're seen as an accessory. That's why I'm uncomfortable in this space. And that's why I feel like I have to force myself in a different way into this space, because that generation sees women as an accessory. And that might not be true for you. And that may not be true for a lot of men. But you absolutely can see it in the older generations.
Well, I think that, once again, not trying to justify anything.
Yeah.
I think I 100% agree that that's how that generation sees it.
Yeah.
And I think that it's perhaps my generation, if not a younger or slightly older, that we're kind of the ones in between the transition, if you will. And, you know, like, we're kind of like, well, we still want boobs and Easy Riders, but we're also like, there should also be a chick being put in Easy Rider because she's doing something rad on her bike. Yeah. So we're
it's hard, and you're getting pressure from the older. You're a fucking pussy if you don't fucking like tits, and like you're getting pressure from both sides.
But so then now you're kind of stuck. So this is where men are just like, what the fuck do I do? Yeah. Because the new there's women with their tits out everywhere that we're like, all right, so they need like a star or a different badge. Like this girl is just to show boobs for motorcycle culture. And this girl rides bikes. Like it's hard to, it's just weird. Like,
it is hard. Yeah. I could see that for sure.
I do not at all condone any of that type of shit. Like dudes just being super, outlandishly, verbally like,
it was crazy.
Just shooting their shot in a very creepy way. Yeah. You know what I mean?
And when I got home, I realized I was like, that's why people say you belong on the back. When there's multiple posts that have been like, what's the worst accessory you can add to your bike? Multiple women I know have posts and men in the comments that say a girl on the back, a woman on the back, or a woman riding it herself, a woman rider. And like, at what point do we go, stop it?
Well, if the question is what's the worst thing you can put on the back of a bike, then isn't that kind of asking the question to go?
I'm sorry, worst accessory for a bike. Okay, and the guy says on the back or female rider. Yeah. Yeah. So, but it's hard. And all I can do is just try to educate my friends and maybe it'll spread. Because there's a lot about the scene that is great. And there's a lot of stuff that I just kind of wave off, whatever. Yeah. But when it becomes like,
I mean, do you kind of, not to cut you off, but did you ever feel unsafe in certain things? I mean, like being in a sense where like you're around, like you're with all the homies, LFG, Taylor, Chapter Crew, all that stuff, but you're at Cave Creek and these dudes are being weird. I mean, did you feel uncomfortable where you couldn't maybe say fuck you or?
Oh, I was like
probably.
Like I never say fuck you. Yeah. Because I'm overly nice to people because I'm scared of what they'll do. Yeah. Always, and I'm not a weak person. Like I'm also someone who, if it came down, I might punch him in the face. But also, like I'd rather not get there. Yeah, yeah. So to that guy that turned around and said something, I just like blushed and like I swear to God I blacked out. Yeah. Because I didn't. He had like a cut on. And I'm like, what do I say to that? And like, how do I stand up for myself? But like, we're all just shocked standing there.
Yeah, remember that video that was a while back with like, I think it had a mongrel cut dude on the bike and he was like going off on that chick. Yeah. It's just, like I said, I think that like this thing that's going on, this like, there's always been women riders, right? But I think before they kind of conformed to whatever the notion of that meant. And now that there's, with things like Babes Ride Out and Litas and all these kind of clubs and these ways to help women kind of get into bikes in a comfortable space, it's just more prevalent, right? Yeah. And like I said, I think that my generation and younger are kind of used to that. It's a common thing we see, as opposed to like maybe the ones before, they're not used to seeing this. They're not used to seeing that. Yeah. And they probably watch a lot of fucking news. You know what I mean? They're probably really indoctrinated with a lot of shit that's just not really conducive to change. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, it's but there are people who are just like, I mean, even people I know will be like, don't fucking worry about it. It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. Yeah, I'm telling you it's a big deal. That's the thing. Like, you don't get to say it doesn't matter because I'm telling you. And if you give a fuck about me, you'll be like, let's talk about it. Let's figure it out. And I fully agree. Like, I would rather, if there's men having problems with stuff, please. I'm pretty good I'm good at communicating. I can comprehend other things. I have a lot of bro friends. I have a lot of girlfriends. I understand both sides. Yeah. But just as I want to be listened to, I will listen to other people. Like
Yeah.
I'm probably a therapist for like 4 or 5
Aren't we
Dyna
all?
Bros at all times. Like being like, how was that date? Did it go well? Oh, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
But if I can be that for someone and help them through life, that's fine. I would rather them be around and have a life and I can ride with them in the future than have no one to talk to. And I wish more men had people to talk to, but I also wish both sides were listened to when we talk. I just feel like it just becomes so reactive about, everything these days. And we turn away from each other instead of being like, why do you think like that? Are you willing to say, I don't believe that, but I understand it's your perspective and that's true to you? Mm-hmm. So
I think most people I think most of these guys don't, if you said, hey man, if you were in a space to be able to have that much of their attention, be like, why do you think that's cool?
Yeah.
They're probably going to go into defensive mode. They're going to either going to lash out and say, fuck you, or they're going to be like, walk away because they don't have the verbal communication skills to put out whatever the fuck they're thinking. They're just.
And then those people just shouldn't be your friends if they're not open to hearing.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I can see like the, I can't, like I said, I can't feel it or understand it, but I understand it from the aspect of like, you absorb all that fucking, that nonsense, and it affects your, just like your view on the world. Like I can't imagine that, you know what I mean? Just dealing with like dudes all the time. Like, does the carpet match the drapes?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Shit like that.
And me usually being covered, men even like, where are your tits? Why aren't your tits out? You're wearing too many clothes. And I'm like, not them. And so that's what makes me mad at them because they are usually the portrayal of women motorcyclists on the internet. Yeah. And people are like, well, why don't you wear your boobs? Under my shirt, my man. Usual spot, honestly. Yeah. But I hope that generation's dying out. And I understand jokes are jokes. It's fine, but jokes are not jokes if it's not funny to everyone around you. Like if it's hurting someone around you but also you have to kind of know someone to joke like that. And if you don't know someone and you come up with that, you're like, God, I sound like a fucking asshole right now.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think there's just a lot of gray area and a lot of social issues right now.
Yeah, the jokes aren't jokes when it's only affecting one person in the group. Yeah. If it's a generalization of things and,
I'm definitely the more blue person in the group of my friends. And that is not to say I'm full blue, I'm more purple. But they say things that are teasing to me all the time. They just say things to get me to blush or be like, oh, come on, man. Yeah. But I comprehend, and they know me and I know them. Mm-hmm. And that's just how it is. But someone random coming to say the same thing that doesn't know me, it's a different vibe.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you got to know your like what's available to talk about here and whatnot. And sometimes having friends like you earn that kind of I don't know, humor within each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when you know the intent behind it versus just randomly saying some shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And so it's I don't know. I can just be the example, and not everyone. There's some young guys who are like feel the same as their predecessors, but that's only because they were taught like that. Yeah, yeah. And that's only their fault when they see the difference and choose to still act the same.
100%, yeah.
Until then, I'm sorry that you're very close-minded. That sucks, but I do feel like that's kind of why I've always shunned away from that kind of biker babe look, biker babe scene, is because I am trying to make a space where we don't only have to be naked. We can also fucking know how to operate a motorcycle. Yeah. Most times. No,
that's it. And that's kind of like I said, that's why I've always tried to find, and I've reached out to a lot of different women over the years, but I wish I could have more on. Mm-hmm. But then again, also like I don't have like a lot of mutual friends. Yeah. So reaching out to you and go, hey, you want to be on the podcast? It's like, cool. But like there's chicks I'll follow and they'll be coming through Dallas. I'm like, hey, if you want to do a podcast, so I'm kind of inviting you to my shop. Yeah.
With all the tits. Yeah.
Fortunately,
you just put googly eyes over every nipple.
I usually, when I do YouTube videos, I put a little tape over it. So, but just in general, like I can understand, like, oh well, I don't know if I want to just go to this person's place and I don't know them, But like I said, it's just a lot of differences. There's like two separate ways that we have to go about things that it's just kind of like an education where we're starting to learn how to navigate it,
Yeah.
you know? Like you said, it's, I think that's a good point you made. It's like, not to justify anything, but like, if you don't know, then okay, now you know, so don't do it again.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Let's learn together. Like,
yeah.
we can only, like, if we grow together, glow together. Like, why, if somebody's just stagnant in their beliefs and they're like, well, my way or the highway, all right, the highway, bro, I don't know what to tell you. Like,
Yeah.
I just think it's really important to be open about different ideas and different opinions, different scenarios and point of views.
Yeah.
But
I always like to say, you know, like I said, I think I said it earlier in this podcast, like I have a lot of views and opinions, right? And that's because I talk to a lot of people and I get fed a lot of information, and that shapes my worldview, right? But at the same time, it's like, I'm 42 years old. You got it all figured out.
yeah.
And the same thing when somebody's 25 years old, you got it all figured out. No. You're going to stand on that hill and tell me that that's truth.
Yeah.
It's your truth now at your age or whatever the case may be. But like I said, it's good to have beliefs, but also be malleable in a way that if better ideas come along or, you know, perspectives come along, then you're able to kind of not be so like, I have to be right or whatever the case may be, and be able to kind of change your opinion and change your worldview, if you will.
And look back on things. And I have trouble with this, like looking back on experiences or things that have happened to me or things I've done and giving myself the grace that I did the best that I could with the knowledge and tools I had at the time.
Yeah.
I just didn't have these tools then. So now I do. So let's move on and grow still. But don't be a fucking awful person, asshole. But sometimes you just do the best you can at the time, and we're all just trying to do the best we can. No one has it figured out. And if you do, you're a liar.
Yep.
And it's just, I think it's important to have those conversations, and it's unfortunate that there aren't a lot of more women that would come on the podcast. And, you know, Devin and I always have the battle of why women's events have to exist. That's a whole nother thing. Mm-hmm. I understand both points of view. You know, Babes Right Out. There's a lot of women's stuff. There's one that I love, Dream Roll, up north in Washington. Yeah. It's great. It's a blast. I enjoy it. Are we like going 100 years over? Is somebody here? But we, I ride with everyone, so I can't say for sure. I can't speak to the point of view where women only ride with other women or women only ride with their husband or partner. Mm. So I can't speak to that, but the fact that it exists means it needs to exist. Yeah. Because men add masculine energies, add a certain vibe to the group. And like the one in Northern Washington, girls are naked. Girls are in different dress, but it's all different bodies. It's not, no one's over there calling them fat. No one's over there making fun of them because they look like this. Because we're like all girls. We're like, cool, girl. Mm-hmm. Fucking rock it. But there's always someone fighting me about, well, why is it women's only? Why can't men go? I'm like,
well, the men that tend to want to go to that are those like cuck ass men that like you just want to, I don't know.
Look at Google boobs, my man. There's tons on the internet.
Get old magazine.
Yeah,
put it on the
be
wall.
a better person. Find a girlfriend. I don't know what to tell you. Like, the fact that they exist means they need to exist. They wouldn't have made a space for it if it didn't need to happen. Yeah. Does that make sense?
No, 100%. I'm just, what I guess I'm trying to think of right now is like, you know, like when, I guess like Babes Right Out and, you know, I think in Dallas, like the ladies, they do the Coyote call. It's like a camp out, a women's camp out. Yeah. Well, all those kind of things are good. I mean, like I said, you need to have events and I guess this is what I was kind of trying to think of is how to say it, and still probably will fuck it up. But the problem is that like in one facet, you want to have everything equal. Yeah. But in the truth and reality, some things need to be separate for the sake of like, we are different in a lot of ways. And so having something like a woman's only, you know, camp out makes sense. But there's always going to be that one girl that just doesn't know how to separate herself from men. Yeah. And, you know, whatever. Or that's not the point. The point is just like, I guess I you know, I think that that everybody should be okay with that, but there should, I guess what I'm trying, like, I'm really lost right here in my thoughts.
I get you.
Because I don't want to say anything in a way that's like, oh, well, all women are always saying we should be able to do this. Why aren't there more women doing this? Why aren't there more women doing that? But the truth is, like, it's not segregation. There's separate things for separate reasons, right? Until, you know, the women that are getting in the comfortable place where they can go and be free and explore riding motorcycles and not feel pressured, or not feel like,
because we learn differently,
targeted,
and we grow differently.
Cool, and that's why we need that. But then there's also spaces where it's like, yo, like, there's not generations of women who have been machinists and bike builders and house builders and these trades and these other aspects. And so it's kind of hard to make a space the same way the women, you know, campouts and rides have in these spaces. Yeah. You know, so it's like, you kind of, if you're going to be here, there can be more, not to use the word delicate, but more ways that you can be taught in a more palatable way for the way you learn. But the path to, I mean, you're now putting yourself in a competition pool with men and other people that have got generational experience. And so, you know, you kind of have to be that, you know, ground, that patient zero to start building the culture for the women in generations to come. And that's, I think, where we're at, or we've been at for a couple 20 plus years for sure. And so that's where the spaces are weird, because it's hard to make two separate versions of that. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I feel like women can have an event without men and be fine. Yeah. But men are like, where are the women? Like, guys have guys time, but they're like, what is a sausage party?
Yeah,
this
exactly.
is like and that's fine. Have fun. But you can have your guys times, but if you had every event a guys time, you'd be like, why are there no girls here? This sucks. Yeah. Like, but we're fine. We're like, we don't, there's a guy making the tacos. That's all we got. Like, it's fine. And that's okay. And it's hard because it's just, we're such in a growing period right now. I think there's just a pressure to grow right now. And everyone's feeling it, and everyone's responding to it differently. And people are not responding at all. And that's okay, because that's what they're comfortable with.
What about, maybe help me out with this concept. What if, I think that there's two lives you can live as a woman in the motorcycle world. There's really only one life for the men.
How so?
Well, like, the men are just riding the bikes. There's no old dudes hanging out.
There's tons of old dudes hanging out.
Like, with their chick that don't ride, that just on the back of the bike.
Oh, yeah. I see what you mean. Yeah. Pretty much every man in a motorcycle event is going to be the rider. But not every woman is going to be the rider. Yeah. On the motorcycle.
So there's two different, like, worlds that are existing there. And, you know, some women, you know, my wife has said this, and not that she's against women riders. She's like, I just don't want to be around a bunch of chicks that keep asking when I'm going to get my bike. You know? Yeah. Like, I'm here because I want to be here. I don't want to feel like I can't be here because I'm not on a bike.
I get that. Yeah. I'm sorry that she's had that experience. I think it's, unfortunately, it's all about, a lot of people don't know how to communicate. Yeah. And respect boundaries. If she were to say that to me, I'm like, fucking sick. Cool. What else do you like to do? Yeah. We'll probably have things. She does hair. Yeah. I'm not a barber, but let's find something else. And it's cool. That's rad. How have you been on the back? Like, what kind of trips do you have a van? What kind of trips do you like? Yeah. But not every woman is me. And I always have to apply that to everyone, because I'm just me. So that's the only POV I can give. But it's, I can see that for sure. I mean, I was at Arizona Bike Week this week, sans mustache. And I was with my friends, and I was meeting a couple, each ride their own bike. And the man walks up to me, the man walks up to me, he's like, hey, who's better half for you? And I was like, what? What do you mean? Yeah. And I was like, no, I'm just me. Yeah. I'm just with me. Just this guy. Yeah. The other half of my personality. So it's just like, and he wasn't meaning it mean. He just like, that's the assumption. Yeah. And I even had that happen earlier in the week too. Like, my friend Trevor in Phoenix, like, we showed up together. We're not like that. We're just bros. Yeah. But somebody was like, oh, are you the better half? I'm like, no, we're just homies. So it's hard, because we're all trying to either fit someone into a hole, or we're also trying to fit ourselves into a hole while trying not to be in the hole. Does that make sense? Like, yeah. there's so many categories of bikers, of choppers, dynas, sporty, like built back, like why we should just be able to be whatever we want to be. Like you ride all sorts of different bikes, you know, like that's fine. But it's hard. I can see how women who are just like there along for the ride are seen differently as women riders. And I can understand how women riders might pressure them.
Yeah. And I mean, I didn't mean to bring that up as a way of like, it's a bad thing. I just think my wife's around motorcycles so much that like, I mean, for a long time, I don't think it's really an issue anymore, but that's something she had said
in the beginning for sure.
Back when we were kind of like past the honeymoon phase, but dealing with like, okay, who the fuck is this person really phase? But now we're much more in a better place to be able to communicate and stuff like that. But I mean, we went through a phase where I made her feel way more like she competed against the motorcycles for my attention and just my life. Right. Yeah. And now we have a balance and an understanding with that. But I guess like the other point was like, you know, there's two things a woman can be in the motorcycle world to us, or to the average guy walking up. Like, are you the old lady, or are you the?
Can I be both?
Well, I mean, yeah, you can, but like, it goes back to what I was saying, that like men are typically the one, and so when we see other men, they're usually one of those, and then when you see his wife walk up, like you don't really know if she is a pilot herself or if she's on the back, and you know, so I just don't talk to him. I just like I act like the women don't exist.
I did. That's what happened in 2020 at the FXR Jam East Coast.
Like I'm just not
I literally
involved.
was like, I think he was just thought I was someone's girlfriend, so I didn't talk to him. We just did his thing.
Well, I mean, it's I mean, to be fair, it's just hard for.
But
look,
also,
it's hard for
also
everybody.
you have to understand. I'm sure women aren't sure of men's intentions sometimes. For me, I'm just like, what up, bro? But I understand how it's hard for men to talk to women because sometimes women become defensive or assume the wrong intentions.
Yeah. I mean, there's this really famous chick that's huge in the motorcycle industry right now that came to my camp out and pretty much made an ass of herself. I'm not going to say her name, but literally threw herself on one dude who was married and didn't want to have anything to do with her, turned her down. And then while she was standing by a campfire and someone recognized her and said, "Hey, I follow you online." And she goes, "Oh, you want to fuck me too?" Like, whoa, what the fuck? Like, so there's like, there was just and the guy's like, no.
God,
Like, I'm married.
So weird.
I don't need this to be like something that, you know what I mean? Like,
that's so uncomfortable.
Well, yeah. Well, and like I said, I'm generalizing. I'm not saying this is everything, but for me personally, like, I just don't, I'm not, oh, hey girl, I follow you online because I'm like, I just don't care. I'm not.
You're not wrong. A lot of men, I've had people reach out to me and be like, "Hey, thanks for not being a man hater," because I do have friends that have just different opinions on men, and they come out very quickly, and that's just them. But there are a lot of women in the community that's why I don't associate with certain groups publicly really a lot, because I have heard, oh, they were mean to me because I'm a man, or they call me a fucking idiot. Like, they literally just mean to them because they were a man, and I'm like, I'm really sorry that happened. That's not. And like, are you a fucktard? Then I'll probably be mean to you, probably, or not. I probably just won't talk to you. But it's hard because not everyone's a good communicator, and a lot of people have traumas that are coming out in that way. Like, it's complicated, and I always try to give people the grace that like either that's all they know, or they're working through something traumatically, or they're just depending on those traumas to get through life. People who are traumatized and act a certain way, and then just crutch on it for the rest of their lives drive me insane. Because you know it's not right. Let's heal it and let's fix it and move on. But then it just keeps affecting everyone. Like, I can't believe she said that's insane to me.
Yeah, I mean,
that's just uncomfortable to say. I don't even talk about that stuff. Like, I want none of my guy friends ever think that, no, I'm just a bro. Please stop. Like, I don't want that ever.
Well, yeah, and that's kind of like, that's why, like, before I reached out to you to do this podcast, like, hey, Taylor, is she cool?
He was like, no.
It's like, yeah, she's just one of the homies, you know? And I'm like, cool. All right. Well, that'd be an easy conversation because, like, I mean, you can hear in this podcast, like, I'm trying to articulate things in a way that makes sense. That
You're doing well.
If a woman listens to it, they don't get the assumption that I'm trying to downplay anything that you're saying or anything that you're about, because I'm not. I'm just trying to maybe throw some perspectives on the table that, like, maybe the men's side are trying to figure out. and navigate through. And also like, hey, what's some things that like, you know, when I think when more women, especially like on a podcast is mainly listened to by men, when they talk about some of this cringy shit men do, now you know.
Now
Don't
you know.
do it again. You know what I'm saying? Don't be that way.
Don't do it again, but also when your bro does it next to you, say, maybe not. Imagine that was your daughter.
Yeah.
Even if it's between you bros. Come on, guys. What if literally it walked up to your homie and that's his 22-year-old daughter? Ew.
Yeah, it's weird.
Let's be so
I got a great story for you on that
Oh,
one.
no.
So one night we couldn't plan this. It just happened where everybody in the group chat's like, hey, going to this bar tonight. And then it just like 10 of us. Like, fuck yeah, it's going to be a fun night. Well, we ran into an old homie of mine that I don't really hang out with him much.
Yeah.
I do love the man to death. He's kind of like he's my age.
Yeah.
Never really been in a relationship, has used all the dating apps his whole life and just kind of bounces around, right?
Yeah.
And so we ended up at one of my favorite bars, but this bar is kind of more of a college bar. It just happens to be one of my spots I like to go because it's outdoors. They got fire pits, whatever. And, you know, there's a couple girls sitting over there and we took over the other side of the fire pit. And like I said, these girls are like my daughter's age. I'm like, no, whatever. We're all hanging out. And my buddy's sitting here and he's like leaning across. Hey, so you guys like just trying to hit on him. And I'm just like, this is fucking awkward. Like, you're fucking old, dude. And like, you could be their dad. And at the, you know, it was kind of cringy at first. And like, once they kind of gave him the hint, like, yo, not happening. Yeah. We just started clowning him. Yeah. Like, bro, like, are you that horny? Yeah. You that horny, dog?
And that's a great way to do that. It's not shaming them. Yeah. It's like, no,
it's like calm down, weird, man. Like that.
Reel it in.
You're gonna get us a fucking, you know, what do you call it? Like a
underage
pedophile thing going on right now, dude. You need to calm down with that shit.
Yeah, it's hard. I think everyone just needs to give people a little more grace, but also like just be smart about what you say aloud. Yeah, yeah. It's funny that you asked Taylor because Taylor and I circled each other for a long time too. People were like, "You got to talk to Taylor." I was like, "I don't know. I don't know him. I don't know what shift of crew means. I don't know what shift of crew is. I don't know." Yeah. And then people were like, to Taylor, it's like, "You got to ask Jess because she's got fucking crazy stories." But yeah, it's just I'm thankful you had me. That's really cool. I was like, I don't know how I just came on his radar, but he wants me to come out.
No, I mean, you've been on there. I've followed you for years, but like I just like I said, I don't.
And even after all my rants,
I don't pursue women. You know what I mean?
I understand.
You know, like I was telling you about the lady I met at the track. It's like I don't follow chicks for the sake of following chicks because you're on a bike. Like if I meet you and like say for instance the one I was talking to, she didn't necessarily portray herself as someone that rode a lot. Well, I don't really have a reason to follow you then. Yeah. But once I met her, oh, you're cool. Okay, cool. I'll follow you back.
Exactly.
But I just don't need all that in my world, you know. And it's, you know, as much as I feel like maybe there are some responsibilities on my end to share these stories, there's the other part of me like I didn't sign up to be the fucking ambassador between men and women. Yeah. Like I'm trying to figure out my own shit right now. You know what I'm saying?
The best thing out of this that could happen is some guy, because I'm sure you have more of a man.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But how cool would that be if somebody was like, "Hey, I'm going to send this to my daughter. I'm going to send this to my wife to like, I would love for her to think about this and maybe like she wants to ride too, or maybe she doesn't, but also maybe gives a perspective for a woman in the community in kind of a man's world." Yeah. That would be really cool. Because I was thinking about like, I was like, wonder, because I didn't know what we were going to talk about. I was like, he's got something on his mind, but
no, sure. I mean, I didn't want to make this conversation about like I'm not trying to be right. Yeah. I'm not.
Well, neither of us are right because it's different for each other.
I'm just trying to like put on the table some of the things that come across conversations amongst us men and, you know, whatever, or maybe even feelings I've had, you know what I mean?
Well, that's good to know it's getting talked about on the other side and discussed.
I mean, there's some of us that are just like, do you see this cringy ass shit right here? And there's some of us like, you know, like, don't be wrong, like in the space whenever, you know, Becky got the opportunity to build a bike or when Ray Ripple did, there was a lot of hate for that, you know, but I'm not trying to be the knight in shining armor either, but like if I'm in a conversation with someone, I'll try to illuminate the truth of like, oh man, but they're going to be the groundbreaking women that make it like you said earlier. I didn't know that women could
acceptable
do it.
For
they
women
were accepted in that whole program, and now you're seeing more of it, and you're going to see more and more and more of it over time. It's just like it's the beginning stages. Yeah. But yeah, it's not. It wasn't my perspective or my intention to bring you on and be like, All right, this is why us men are right.
No, I don't feel like that at all.
But just to kind of like talk about some things that I think that a lot of people are thinking.
Well, I'm happy that you trusted me to be the person to talk about that.
I told Taylor to have you, and I didn't follow you deep enough to know that probably would have been a bad idea, but to have what's his name, the wild boy?
Which one?
Taylor's guy that he has on that just
Dave?
Dave. I was like, you should probably have Jess on and let her debate that with Dave. And I'm like, I didn't know either one of you enough to know that probably would have not worked out well.
It would not. Dave and I are friends.
Yes.
But
he's a showman with his words.
He enjoys making people angry, and a woman getting heated, upset, and angry is exactly what he would want.
Yeah.
And so I can't. My reactions would just play into what he wants. And so then I can't win anything.
Yeah, 100%.
Because then I just shut up and then he just keeps going. So Dave is an acquired taste. And I feel like it's important to know Dave to understand why he says the thing. Even, honestly, Dave and I are chill. He does say some things where I'm like, I'm glad you're not talking about me, right, Dave? He's like, no, dude, I'm not talking about you. I'm like, fine. But we do sometimes he just loves to fucking poke people.
Yeah.
He loves it. But the other day I posted a picture of me riding in the canyons and he said, hey, you got to get your head position right. And I said, tell me more. Let's talk about this. And he actually meant body position. And we talked about that. And he was like, I was really scared to say something to you. And you think and I said, no, but I know you. And I respect, I want to know. I want to learn.
Yeah.
And you did it in a way that's not real Dave.
Yeah.
You know, you actually said it in a very constructive way instead of being sassy. Because if you were sassy, I'd have been like, fuck you, I gotta go.
Yeah.
Dave. But he's hilarious. But I do feel it is not always great that people don't know him outside of that.
Yeah.
Because when they see him just as an online personality, he can be rough.
Yeah. And I think it's for a lot of people, in our generation, it's easy to kind of hate on a lot of the women coming into these spaces, but that's why I feel like the conversation is about as someone that's been in this paint business and building bikes and whatnot for many years, all I can think of is how I finally felt like I started to get somewhere in my career and in my skills over 10 years in.
Yeah.
And it's going to take time for those women to develop the skills to the level they need to be at to compete just in general. It'll take the men the same time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
and
saying?
I hope that there's men in their lives that are willing to teach them, a dad, a brother, a partner, a boyfriend, a friend. None of us can learn what no one's willing to teach us.
Yeah.
I learned how to work on my bike because somebody was like, first off, I had the wherewithal to be like, okay, I'll poke around. I got pulled over today and I told...
I was going to ask you about that.
Oh, God. I'm an idiot. So he was doing Sneaky Snake. And he got the shit off the road. Well, I passed him. My bad.
Oh,
God
the cop
forbid.
was doing this?
Yeah. Well, no, he was doing that. He got the shit off the road. So now he was just going and traffic could go again.
Yeah.
Well, I just pass him. God forbid a woman have hobbies,
Yeah.
At whatever miles per hour. He immediately pulls me over. Immediately. Just gets behind me and I'm off the freeway. I'm like, oh, fuck, okay. Right turn. And he's like, why did you pass me going 85? And I was like, was I going 85? That's so weird. And I was like, you know what? My speedo sensor has been really messed up. I just replaced it. And I was like, do you mind if I look at it real quick? And he was like, yeah, I guess. And he's like, can I have your ID? I gave him my ID. He goes to this passenger side of his car. So I knew I was probably fine. But I get out the tools and start wrenching on random shit on my bike. I'm planking around. Ting, ting. Oh, I don't know. He's like, what did your speedo say? And I was like, 50. And he was like, yeah, you were going 85. And I was like, huh, didn't know. I was just pinking around on the other side of the bike.
Yeah.
And he was like, all right, well, he's like, do you live in Oklahoma or LA? I'm like, first off, Oklahoma. My driver's license is Oklahoma. My tag's Oklahoma.
Yeah.
I live in Oklahoma. And he was like, are you going home soon? I was like, yeah, I'm just trying to get my speedo fixed before I go. And I just faked it. But just because I knew kind of how to do things and that there's even a speedometer sensor was me, I kind of got out of it.
It's pretty smooth.
Oopsies. Whoops. I mean, usually you would let us go. They're like, fuck it. Honestly, have fun. There's an open freeway for probably 4 miles. Enjoy.
Yeah, then you'll be in traffic.
Yeah. We'll see you up there.
You'll catch the back wind.
But I'm only willing to know. I can only know something because somebody was willing to teach me. I was able to ask someone, and I had men in my life. And yeah, they are men because that's usually who knows how to do it.
Yeah, and I think that maybe a lot of women, for instance, like if a woman wanted to come learn to paint from me, or apprentice in the shop to some degree, it's like, first off, like it's hard for a guy to ask another guy for that, right? So I can understand it being hard, but like that's the path to learning things, is to put in effort and show that you're willing to put in the time for the knowledge.
And I hope that they never met with someone who says you can't do this because of this, because you're...
Yeah, no. I wish that my daughter would like to be in this world, but like I said, I'm very, I'm controlling in almost every aspect of my life except for other people.
Yeah. And what makes them happy? That's what should make you happy.
So, I don't push my wife or my daughter or my son. I let them be who they are. And I try to keep my opinions to myself. That's the new thing. But, but yeah, if my daughter wanted to learn how to work on bikes or paint bikes or just paint in general, like I'd be stoked. I'd be like, fuck yeah, let's go.
Yeah. Even if it was like, hey, I want to do
here's the broom,
freaking water. Yeah.
And I tell people all the time, it's like, I swept for years before I ever got really a chance to do things. But while I was sweeping, I got to watch things.
Yeah. And see how it's done and watch the process.
And it's just a showing of like, I'm showing commitment to like want to be here, doing the thing that they don't really have time to do.
Yeah.
But I need to prove that I want to be here. And that's kind of like the thing that a lot of people, especially nowadays with social media, most people have an ego of some sort. Mm-hmm. So they feel that those simple tasks are beneath them. But I sweep every day a lot. Mm-hmm. Me and my wife argue about this because like I'd come home and I don't want to sweep, but
you're like, can I choose a different chore, please?
Yeah, I'll mow the grass.
Sweeping specifically is what I don't want to do when I get home.
But I mean, I do it. I sweep so much because I hate dirty floors at my shop. I like a clean and tidy shop.
Yeah. You need a industrial Roomba.
Yeah, that would be sick.
Wouldn't that be rad?
Yeah, and it just fucking
does it for
never
you.
Work. I mean, because it's just roaring all day long. Yeah. But yeah, so that's kind of the thing. It's like if they want to get into these spaces, like I think that's what that Becky chick. I've never met her or talked to her, but just following what she had done, I think she had somebody around her that she could learn things from. And I think that another individual in the motorcycle thing is doing the same thing. But it's just one of those things that like, look, a lot of us dudes have the knowledge.
Yeah.
And a lot of us are probably very willing to give it up if you put in effort.
Yeah.
And that's all I think.
And you also have to find someone who could communicate the way you need it to be communicated. Because I've worked with men on things and I'm like, I would want to drown you right now because you don't word things. You just word things incorrectly. And I would love it if you could talk about this and be better. But I have a friend. My Sporty wasn't running, throwing codes. He walked me over the phone how to replace my fuel injectors. Like, he was like, you understand this more than guys that call me. So he just walked me through it and I did it. I had my tank off. Apparently it was the relay. So that's very annoying. Yeah. But I know how to do that now. Cool, I guess. But it's just someone was willing to say, hey, and didn't talk to me like I was a fucking idiot. Sometimes I'll ask questions about stuff. I'm like, I have to preface this. Please don't make me feel dumb. This is a very dumb question. Can you tell me what this does? And that's all we need,
See, I'd have to learn how to, because my natural personality is shit talking.
Yeah.
So, and then when you're good at it, that means that you're always listening for the good, juicy info to be able to use in the shit talking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But no, I'm with you on that. And that's something I've learned with my daughters because, she's made a lot of decisions that I don't think are great. But then again, she's not really in a bad spot in life. So it's kind of like, well, let's let her run with it. You know what I'm saying? But like trying to learn how to only answer or only inject or interject whenever I'm asked to.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, are you sure you want this? Because I've been bottling it up for fucking 6 months.
Yeah.
All right. Number one, you got a pen?
Yeah.
You're going to write this down.
Do you have your iPad out?
Yeah. But no, same thing with my wife. Like trying to learn how to communicate. Like I was saying, like learning how to listen and then learning how to talk to her in a way that I think we're all, this is like therapy sessions type stuff, but like, if I'm like, hey, you always, that's not true. I don't always do that. But when you say that, it's like, I immediately think about the times I didn't do it. So I'm in a combative or a reactive state of wanting to prove that, fuck you, I didn't do that. You know what I mean? Instead of like actually taking in what is the problem.
Yeah. Listening and hearing and comprehending, because you have to be like, she said I always, so that's her perception. So let's talk about that first,
Yes.
you know? Or she doesn't understand that I would prefer her to say, oftentimes you do this, you know?
Yes.
Or sometimes you mostly, you know, there's just different. I think communication is lacking in this. I think we are on a cusp of knowledge with it.
Yeah.
But communication is lacking a lot in especially dating these days. It's a fucking nightmare.
Yeah, I could imagine. Like me and my old lady, we got together at the cusp of the app dating.
Yeah.
So like I think I did a Plenty of Fish profile once, and I was like, this fucking blows. Like,
Like no fish. Don't want any fish.
well, it's like, I mean, that's why I would never do well in it. It's like I would see someone and I'd read their profile. I'm like, oh, this person seemed interesting. I really want to get to know them. That's not an option.
Yeah.
I didn't have the best pickup line, profile picture, or whatever the fuck you're supposed to have, so it didn't happen. If that girl's at a bar, I would have probably might have had a better chance.
Vibes.
Yeah. You know, so fortunately,
But I've heard girls at bars are mean now.
probably,
I've heard they're fucking mean.
I'm glad I don't have to, you know, like I tonight I'm gonna go sit at a bar and drink by myself and catch up on the internet, and maybe there's some live music. If not, I don't give a fuck, man. Like I'm
you don't
like,
have to worry about it.
I'm not exactly like, and yeah, so I'm glad I missed that phase. So I feel whatever pain that you're probably dealing with and looking in this world of.
The greatest thing is I'm often alone, and that's okay. I'm fine.
Yeah.
A lot of people aren't comfortable alone or by themselves, and I think that's a whole nother page. But I mean, if a person doesn't add to my life, then you got to ride a motorcycle first off. Sometimes I'm swiping through. I'm like, I hate everything this man does. What is happening right now? Am I the worst? I think I might be the worst. But yeah, dating these days, but just communication, even between friends, even between people are just so unwilling to hear what people are saying. And I think even if, I mean, that's a therapy thing. What did, even couples therapy, you guys talk and they're like, what did they say to you? Repeat what you heard.
Yeah.
And oftentimes it doesn't match what they heard because you put it through your filter and you change it and you're like, no, that's actually not what I said. Please listen to me, you know?
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of opportunity for a lot of growth. I just think we're in such a weird time right now with everything in the world. But I feel like turning to each other and actually giving, like, attempting to communicate better.
Yeah, being a little bit more open-minded too. You know, I feel like open-mindedness is a great way to go about life. You know, like it's completely, I think, good to have morals, values, and goals and stuff, but also be open-minded to change. Like I've been saying this whole podcast. Yeah, open-minded to better ideas
And it's crazy that we are some of the travelers that have the most unexpected, ridiculous things happen to us on the road, but then other ideas and thoughts were so stagnant in. Like, on a road trip, we have to be open-minded. Something could happen. Anything could happen. But then in this one belief, I'm like, no, must be this way. You know? Yeah. Like, it's so rigid in one way.
Well, you're also being kind of traveling gives you a much different perspective of people in the world than if you only lived in Venice Beach. Mm-hmm. If all you got was the news and was in an echo chamber of that, you would think everybody in Texas is toting guns and shooting each other, and you know, like we all have, you know, "Make America Great Again" hats and all this other stuff, but it's not the case. It's just that like
that's just what gets shown.
It's just what gets shown.
'Cause that's the easiest.
The truth is, like, I think most of us are in the middle.
Yeah.
You know, we're in the middle of life, middle of this, middle of that. I don't believe that far. I don't believe that far. I'm just kind of like, yo, like, let's just do this. This seems to be the place of understanding and progress. Yeah. And this is no progress. This is no progress. Yeah. It's in the middle.
I fully agree with that. I could see that for sure. I had a friend, a girlfriend, ride to Virginia last year, and she's a Burbank girl. We have a bubble out here. I comprehend that. Being from Oklahoma, I comprehend other people exist, but out here, if you don't get out of your bubble and you don't hang out with different people, because it is sometimes taxing to it's a lot of work to have people around you with different opinions, because you have to now look within yourself and process it.
Yeah, you don't have to explain yourself to people.
Yeah. But it's a lot of work, but I do feel like it's worth it when the people matter to you and the reason matters to you. But she went and rode across the country. I got texts the whole way. She was like, oh my God, Jessica, I met this woman in Nebraska at a gas station who says she doesn't leave her house at night because she's too scared. Or I met this woman in Virginia that says her husband would never let her do this or that. And I'm like, yeah, these people exist.
Yeah.
Like, you just don't, you live in a bubble of very powerful and confident women and more of a certain demographic, and they don't understand that other people in the world exist that completely are opposite of us. So I think that applies to almost everything. Mm-hmm. But that's what traveling gets you. You open your eyes to completely different lifestyles.
Perspective, yeah.
And complete different perspectives. That's irreplaceable. I can't imagine. I mean, I don't know where I'd be. I'd maybe be cool in a different way. No, I'm kidding.
Maybe.
But I don't know. I'm really thankful for everything. Like, I was thinking the other day about how this person met this person, like, it's all a web. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, you were talking about Steve earlier. I met Steve at Sturgis, I think. And then Trevor, one of my greatest friends out here, Bulletproof Welder, like, I met him somewhere down the line and then at Sturgis, and just a whole tangled web. And I do feel like meets like if you come forward in a genuine way, we talked about integrity and being genuine earlier, that it will, you're going to get some shitheads and they will slowly filter themselves out.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like the shifter crew guys, the LFG guys, it's a general crew, and every once in a while somebody will come around and kind of sort themselves out just because they're not being genuine.
Yeah.
I feel like even if it's not exactly, we don't always agree on everything, but we're genuine and we love motorcycles. We love riding. We love the adventure. We're freaking nerds, but also we care about other people, and I care about the outcome of their lives. Like, I care how they're doing. I care about a lot of people. And I think when people come in that are disingenuine, slowly they filter themselves out, but then they're usually the loudest about their opinions and everything. So I think, I don't know where I was going with that.
Well, yeah, they're probably just more or less trying to be right instead of accepting new ideas and ways to think and go about themselves.
Yeah, they're not being open to other ideas. So,
well, I mean, some people are just completely changes. You know, I try to be a person that embraces change on all fronts, but I can tell you firsthand that, like, as ready and willing and accepting I can be of change in all forms or fashion. Too much of it at one time can be overwhelming and put you in not depression, but it could just really put you in your head. Like, fuck, man, all this is changing at once. It's like, you know, it's like you're processing a lot of different shit, but, you know, changing your opinions and stuff like that, sometimes it happens in a very humbling way. Sometimes it just happens, you know, through listening to people's podcasts and and hearing a story and hearing a perspective again. You know, sometimes I think I'm right, and then my wife just fucking she just illuminates something to me that I didn't see it that way. I'm like, fuck.
Because she knows how to communicate with you. She can word it in ways where you understand it, and you're willing to hear it. Yeah. I think it's really cool that, like, there's some people in the community that I just kind of like stay away from, and people are like, oh yeah, they're really cool, and I'm like, okay, I'm willing. Like, I fully understand that, like, when I came in contact with them in the first place, I could have been projecting weirdness on them, or maybe I was being awkward. But if they're like, if you say they're, you know, if somebody I like or is like, oh, they're really cool, you should try to, let's do it. Let's talk to them again. Who knows? You never know. Like, maybe you were just in a funk that day. Maybe they were in a funk that day. Give them another chance. But I think the real disingenuine people will eventually show themselves and filter themselves out. And I think community is incredibly important here in the community.
Community inception.
Yeah.
Well, I've been saying this. I think that Taylor and Dustin and them have done a really good job of bringing kind of SoCal together in a way. Not to say that there isn't pockets of it, but in the last, I don't know, 15 years of my existence of being in LA off and on a lot and seeing the bike culture here, it's just always, it just hasn't had like a connectivity. It's always been just pockets of people, the Ventura guys, the LA guys, the San Diego guys, the Temecula, the Orange County. Like, it's always been like that. And now you're starting to see some key figures that have, you know, a following or a name, or they've got some tenure in the scene. They all seem to flock towards good people. And like, knowing Taylor and Dustin and stuff, it's like, yeah, they're fucking salt of the earth. So it's like, it makes sense that their podcasts and their events that they're putting on are bringing people together, and all the right people. Yeah. You know, so.
And, there are definitely naysayers in the crowd, but they'll filter themselves
They'll filter themselves out. Yeah, yeah, 100%.
And it's not our, I hate when someone does someone wrong, somebody goes and spouts it everywhere. Like I get along with pretty much everyone in the community. There's only one person I don't prefer, really. And they did me wrong back in the day. And I didn't go around telling everybody because that makes me look like the crazy person. Everyone will figure it out.
Yeah.
When they're ready to figure it out. Because it doesn't help to go around and talk shit about people. Even if you're right. It just shows your own ass. And it'll figure it out. So eventually people will come up to me in LA and be like, why didn't you tell me about her? And I was like, you figured it out, didn't you? It's all right. It's okay. And I wish her the people the best. I hope they grow, but if they don't, they don't.
Yeah.
But that's just how it goes sometimes, Taylor's always like the fuck your approval. Is it fuck your approval?
Probably something
like that.
Cheesy name like that. I don't know. They got a lot of statements on shirts. I don't do that.
I know. I did buy a quality over quantity shirt.
Yeah.
But, they're better at saying fuck it. I think about it a little much, but I think disingenuous people filter themselves out. They'll come out of the woodworks eventually.
Yeah, they do.
So.
Well, yeah. I think we did good.
Yeah, we talked about a lot. I hope that, I don't know. Well, I also ride motorcycles.
Yeah, I mean, dude, you've done podcasts with Taylor and the one with Two Lane Life here, and you really went into depth a lot with Taylor on some of your trips. So there's great episodes there. There's no point in hashing that out.
That's true.
On this podcast.
I was actually very worried about talking about the same stuff again, so I'm glad we went completely different.
Yeah, I mean, fortunately for me, like sometimes when someone's already done podcasts, I can use that as cliff notes. All right, we've been there, we've done that. Well, why did you want to go on a back trip? What made, you know what I mean?
I'm glad you remembered because I was like trying to go through my stories today going, what have I already talked about?
Yeah. But no, I mean, like I said, for me, like you seemed like an approachable person to talk the way we've talked on this podcast. And hopefully if women do listen to it, they don't hate me. And if men listen to this, then they take it with they listen, they try to understand. Yeah.
I think it's important. I think, it's all kind of coming to a head. I feel like it's getting a little more pressurized in that scene.
We got to find a way to desegregate it, even though that obviously there's going to be things that are going to have to be like the events in certain aspects.
Yeah.
But the more we can get familiar with each other being around and remove the other than or this then or separation, then it just becomes like people riding bikes and then people that aren't. It's just one thing. And it's like that now, but
Yeah, it is hard though. But, I was thinking about what the people said to your wife about riding, and it sucks that
they didn't do anything out of line.
But
it's like, hey, when are you going to get a bike?
But she hears it a lot.
Yeah.
And I say that about a lot of things, like there's a script that men say to women on bikes constantly, and we get sick of it, so we get snappy about it. But here's the thing: you may say it once a month to one girl, but that woman hears it every day from different men.
Yeah.
So we hear it a lot. So I'm sure that it affected her in a way where she was like, oh. But I think it's completely fine to not. But also, I think those women are just trying to share the love. Like they have found so much love in it and so much experience that I almost want that for everyone now. I'm like, please ride your own. Riding here today, we were at a light and I look over and there's an older 50s woman looking at me, just smiling at me. Because she's like, that's a girl on a bike. That's fucking cool. And we had a moment. Like, I was like, hey, like, I see little girls all the time. You can do anything you want to do.
Yeah.
You can do anything you want to do. Just do it. Just try. And I hope that you have people around you telling you that.
Yeah.
And I hope everyone's daughters and sisters and sons and brothers, you can do anything you want. Just try it. But I hope that, I'm glad we got to talk about this, because I've done Two Lane Life. I did the Chubby Boy guys in Oklahoma.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was my first one. I was whispering in the beginning. So I had to turn the volume up. But, and then I'm doing LFG probably next week.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll have to talk about Gabe from Law Tigers.
Oh, hell yeah. Gabe's the man. It's my espresso martini homie.
I know. He's awesome. But yeah, the guys didn't know I was going as Gabe from Law Tigers.
Oh, for real?
Until I pulled the helmet off at the event. And they're like, what the fuck?
How'd you get the mustache to stick in Arizona heat?
It was not easy. I had a really shitty, like, silly one at first, and it kept falling off. So I, being a makeup artist in the film industry, have an actual lace front mustache that I brought back up. So I had to eventually do that one. And I just had to keep pressing it on because the boys would make me laugh and I'd have to cover my mouth. And it was a hoot. So I just, it's really cool
How do you pronounce your Instagram, or has it ever been done that way? Is it Jess Kate?
It's just Jessica Kate. So my name is Jessica Kate Sinclair.
Uh-huh.
And back in the day, no one really says Jessica. They go Jessica. You know, they kind of
okay.
And that's my middle name. So Jessica Kate.
Okay.
It's just my name. It is very confusing and I have regrets. So here we are. But it's Jessica Kate, JESCAKATE.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you again and appreciate it. And hope you all like that.
Yeah. Enjoy. Have fun. We'll see you out there. It is hotter than shit in here.